bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well, what is up, Fade to Black? Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Monday, August 29th, 242 days into the new year, just 124 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I am your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? So good to be back in the chair. It's Monday. Had a great weekend. Spent a couple of days over at Coast. Thank you for everybody that was hanging out with us over there. Great shows. But today is the kickoff of week 2 of Pure UFOs right here on Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Follow, like, and subscribe. You can email throughout the show tonight. Just make it good. Make it past the producers, and it will make its way in here to the studio. And if you're lucky, maybe I'll even write you back. The sandbox is hashtag F2B. That's what you want to do in Twitter. We don't bite. Come and hang out. Tonight's show, we will probably do 2, 3, 4, 5,000 tweets with the audience, and you want to come out and hang out with us. Hashtag F2B. Any questions or comments during the show tonight for myself or Mr. Reuben Langdon, who is live to my left, sitting next to Twitter. He's really here. Use hashtag F2BQ. That's Fade to Black questions. All right. I had a really great weekend, and it was exhausting. And after doing all of the shows here and then going over and doing Coast for a couple of nights and with no days off, as you guys know, yesterday I spent it with my family and Rita's parents, and the entire AARP crew was over at the house. And there is nothing more wonderful than sitting with your family and your parents and your aunts and your uncles, and you look around and have them smile and eat and drink. Just reinvigorated everything that is about me. And I had a really great time yesterday. And so here we are today, Monday, and I feel like I've slept for a week just because my parents were over at the house yesterday. So that is that. We have a really big week lined up this week on Fade to Black. And I want to remind everybody before I get to all of that, that we've got a couple of things that are important. One of them is the sponsors on this show. The other one is this. David Icke is going to be with us on Thursday. And so if you want to go see David Icke, either in Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, go over to Jimmy Church Radio. Go to the website. You're going to see a banner there for David Icke for the Worldwide Wake Up Tour. Click on that, and that will take you over to his website, to his ticket page, where you can purchase tickets. It is selling out fast, as you can imagine. We will be with David September 17th here in Los Angeles, which is actually down in Irvine. And if you would like to come and hang out with all of us, the Fade to Black crew is going to be down there, a bunch of Fadernauts, and go and check that out. We will be giving away tickets to all 3 events throughout the month. and we might be able to do something as soon as Thursday. Actually, I'm announcing it now. David said okay, so I guess we could start giving away tickets. But I think we'll wait for Thursday night when David is here. Okay, so there you go. Also, CCCP Publishing, while you're over at the website getting your David Icke tickets, why don't you visit CCC Publishing? It is there also. Purchase Future Esoteric for $12.97. That's a special price for the Fadernauts. And CCC Publishing and Brad Olson will throw an extra book in the box just for you guys. Just use the promo code Jimmy. Also, Life Change Tea. While you're at the website, you might as well go visit Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. Also use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy, when you order either over the phone or online, and get free shipping on your order. Change your life. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to bring in Reuben. Hey, say hi to everybody, Reuben.
Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Okay, you see on the other side of the studio right there, how many bottles of supplements do you see?
You got a handful of bottles there. A couple handfuls.
A couple of handfuls.
Yeah.
I'm serious when I talk about Life Change Tea and supplements, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
You can take a couple if you want.
I think I will.
See, he's all Reuben's all healthy. I'll introduce Reuben in a second, but there you go. See, he's live right now in the studio. And what's really cool here in the bunker, I've got no windows. Reuben, any windows?
No.
Is it dark in here?
It's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark. And I'm in here every night of the week doing this show. And as you can imagine, it's a lonely place. So having you in here, it's very cool.
Well, you have your supplements to keep you healthy.
I got my supplements. All right, I'll introduce and bring Reuben back here in just a second. Right now, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to Elliot Gould, 78 years old. I can't believe that, and there was MASH, and we love MASH. I get that, but his what's the word I want to use here? Diabolical role as Ezra Goodman on Ray Donovan was totally epic. And of course, we can't forget that he was also married to Barbara Streisand. And I don't know if anybody even remembers that, but Elliot Gould was married to Babs. Our dead guy's birthday today is the one and only Michael Jackson. 1958 to 2009, died at the age of 50. The king of pop, who became the most successful singer in history. That is all. That's all I have to say. Happy birthday to Michael Jackson. On this day in history, yes, it happened. Two things happened today that were pretty seminal in human history. One, 2005, Hurricane Katrina slams into the Gulf Coast, and I will never, ever, ever forget that day. And also on this day, the Beatles played their last show in 1966 at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And there you go. Fader fact, about 1/5 of all of the gold held by world governments, worth about $248 billion, is not in Fort Knox. It is not. It is stored beneath the streets of London. And that is a fader fact. Yeah. Reuben, you didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew there was no gold in Fort Knox, but I didn't know it was in
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I vetted. That's a real fact.
Wow.
I know, right?
So how did it get over there? That's the question. Why is it over there?
Isn't that's a brutal fact? I mean, that just hits you in the head. Yeah. As I was reading that, I just watched Reuben just perk up like, what? All right, today's a very sad day, everybody. I'm going to leave the microphone on because I want Reuben's comments on this. But I haven't done Reuben's bio yet, which we'll get to at the bottom of the hour. But Reuben, along with anybody else that lives in Southern California, is in the movie business, the entertainment business. He is in Hollywood. And here in Hollywood, because of the nature of what we do here. And it doesn't matter if you're in music or if you're a writer, an author, a film editor, a director, a producer, an actor, a comedian. It doesn't matter. We are entertainment all day long. And today was a very, 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 very sad day for Hollywood because Gene Wilder passed away today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he passed away. And it kind of hit me in a weird way, because even though I'm a musician and, with, Bowie's passing or whatever, that you get but Gene Wilder, I think, was different for all of us, because he was so cool. He was so dang funny. I think that we all related to him in a weird way. He was, I think that and I noted a bunch of his movies, like, The Producers, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, Willy Wonka, Stir Crazy, all those prior films. He stole every movie he was ever in.
Absolutely.
He robbed whoever was starring in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How old was he? I didn't.
83.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had Alzheimer's, and he died at his home in Connecticut. And it just kind of emotionally kind of messed with my head a little bit. And as we get older, and I don't want to sound like my parents here, but as we get older, there's one thing that you can't fight with nature. Mm-hmm. Everybody's getting older with you, right? And it's inevitable, because when you're 20 years old, 21 years old, tearing up, the summer and having fun with your friends and partying or whatever, life lasts forever. And all of your heroes that you're looking up to at that age are your age. They're 22, they're 23, 24, 25 years old. Guitar players, singers, actors, whatever, right?
Right.
Well, you get up to 50, 60 years old, and all of your heroes, right, are
those guys,
right?
Yeah.
And it's part of nature. And then if you're dealing with somebody that really moved you when you were 21, 22, that was, say, 32 years old, still a kid, but if you get up to 52, 62, they're 72 now.
Right.
And it's called nature, the cycle of life.
Yeah.
And it seems like, and I hear the comments, everybody seems to be dying, right? All of our right. It's only because we are at that age where, right? It just feels that way. But our parents had to have gone through the exact same thing.
Yeah, and in our generation, we had more, more films and movies, and we had more people to connect with in that way that I don't think the older generations didn't have. So it seems, like you said, it seems that way.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point, and which is. Probably because, no, not probably, definitely the reason why we are so emotionally wrapped up with our heroes is because never before have we been able to connect with them.
Right.
All of the teen beat magazines from the 70s and 80s that put you in the living room of David Cassidy or whoever, right? Donny Osmond.
Right.
And then you had all those rock magazines, and you were able to, get into the, that wasn't like that throughout history.
Right.
And then portable music players, Walkmans, cassette decks, boom boxes from the 70s and 80s, where now you could take that music with you, right?
Right.
MTV rolls along, and now we're right there with a direct connection with, and we felt like we were best friends with all of them.
Absolutely.
Which is okay when it's all good.
Right.
But now, emotionally, I've met Eddie Van Halen about, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times over the years and talked to him and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Indirectly and directly worked with him a little bit, a couple of times. Not that big of a deal. But I feel like I'm his brother because of the albums and the videos and the concerts and the interviews and TV and
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just the way that it is. I don't know what I'm going to do when he says goodbye.
Right. Well, that was the big thing with David Bowie recently,
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Everybody was so connected.
My daughters, both of them, huge Bowie fans. Mm-hmm. And one of our daughters, Nicole, since she was had posters and the movie Labyrinth meant more to her than just about anything, right?
Classic.
Total classic. I love that movie. And that night, when he passed away, it wrecked her.
Yeah.
It wrecked her. So anyway, I'm so bummed about Gene. Now, let me ask you, Reuben. It's kind of tough to pick a favorite movie of Gene Wilder, but I'm not going to tell you mine. When you think of Gene, what do you think of?
Well, I guess Willy Wonka is the most recent, in memories that has that. So I would say Willy Wonka. But yeah, there's so many.
Me, I got to go Blazing Saddles.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the more well-known one.
Yeah, I got to go Blazing Saddles. And which funny enough, I'm not so sure as politically incorrect as that movie is. And it's way. I don't think that movie could get made today.
No.
I really don't. Not even direct to video.
Yeah.
No.
No, we're in a different day and age.
No, different day and age. And it was pretty rowdy for back then, too, as well. But what I think is great, even though I don't think whether it's Black America, White America, the way the American Indians were portrayed, and it was, harsh, right? But I think everybody laughs at their own culture, that the way it's represented in the movie.
I mean, even today, you watch it today, it's still good. It still holds up. It's still funny. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We can look back, we can say this was made in that era and laugh at ourselves for being so ridiculous and the stereotypes and pushing it so hard.
I think of Gene in Blazing Saddles, that one scene where he holds up his hand and the sheriff, I'm just trying to think of his name, doesn't matter. Oh, look at that, steady as a rock. And he's talking about his hand. He goes, yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Man. All right, Gene Wilder, rest in peace. He's up there with Gilda Radner. And that was the other thing. His relationship with Gilda was amazing, and I don't think he was ever really the same after that. I'm looking here, hear no evil, see no evil. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man.
Classic.
Stir Crazy though.
Yes.
Stir Crazy when he walks into the jail cell for the first time. Classic piece of cinema. But I'm looking at everybody's reactions here in Twitter, and you guys are the best. Man, you guys are blazing in Twitter tonight. Yeah, there we go. You guys are the best. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and email is Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Okay. A couple of things I wanted to talk about really quick before we get the show started is SETI now has observed, and this is blowing up, and I'm not too sure how far this is going to go, but SETI has observed what they are calling a strong signal that may originate from a sun-like star. The star is located 95 light years from Earth and has set at least one. The star itself has at least one confirmed planet. Now, according to Paul Glister, it looks like we're going to have Paul here on the show very soon to talk about this. Author of the Centauri Dreams website. The Italian astronomer Claudio Marconi and other astronomers affiliated with the search for extraterrestrial intelligence have detected a strong signal in the direction of HD 164595. Now, HD 164595 is a star of 0.99 solar masses of ours, about 95 light years from Earth, with an estimated age of 6.3 billion years. Sound familiar? It's very close to what our system is. The system is known to have at least one planet, which is HD 164595b, which is similar in size to Neptune and orbits its star in 40 days. Other planets may exist in the system as well, and that's the point here. The observation was made with the Ratan 600 radio telescope in southern Russia. No one is claiming right now that this is the work of extraterrestrials and another civilization, but it is certainly worth further study, because working out the strength of the signal, the researchers say that it came from an isotropic beacon. Now, that's a curious thing for an astronomer to say, and there's more to this point, too. It would have a power possible for only a Type 2 civilization. If it were a narrow beam signal focused on our solar system, it would be of a power available to a Type 1 civilization. Now, the possibility of noise of one form or another cannot be ruled out, but Researchers in Paris, led by Jean Schneider, are considering the possible micro-lensing of a background source by HD 164595, but the signal is provocative enough that the Raytan 600 researchers are calling for permanent monitoring of this target. And this is where it gets really, really strange. Usually, when we get something of some type of burst from out there, some kind of solar radiation, it's of a very, very, very wide band, and it's a bunch of noise, and they last for about 10 seconds. That is not the case here. It is narrow. It's at 11K. And do you know who uses 11K here on planet Earth?
I don't know.
The military. Now, I'm not suggesting that ET's military is using an 11K signal bandwidth, but the thing is, for something like this to be so narrowly focused at 11K, and from a very fine point in the solar system or in the universe, that's where they're raising eyebrows, and they're like, wait a minute here. There could be something going on. So, and it's a radio telescope that is picking this up. So what they're suggesting now is focus everything there. Let's just do this. Let's point everything. I know Seth Showstack. I almost called him today, and we should call him during the show. Yeah, I got Seth's number right here. Maybe we'll call Seth during the show and see what he's got to say about this. And I'm sure that he's getting bombed right now. But it's very, very interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but there you go. And I think over the next couple of days, I do have some other information on this, and we'll follow up on it tomorrow. Also in the news, really quick, Mark David Chapman, and I'm only doing this now because of the thing with the Beatles. Their last show in 1966 was today at Candlestick Park. Well, Mark David Chapman, the convicted murderer of John Lennon, was denied parole again today for the 9th time. The 3-man board denied parole for an unspecified reason earlier this week and then announced it today. He'll be eligible again in 2 years. There had been earlier reports that 5 letters recommending his parole this year had made their way to the parole board. But Yoko Ono wrote, and we think that was the overriding decision because she was opposing it. In 2014, at his last hearing, he claimed to have found Jesus. Claimed to have found Jesus and said that he was an idiot. And I'm quoting here. This is in his in the release. He was an idiot for killing Lennon. This is a family show, but idiot is not the noun personally that I would use there.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
All right. And lastly, before we hit our break, a crew of astronauts, and I wanted to ask Reuben about this. A crew of astronauts have emerged after a year on Mars. Did you hear about this? Yeah. Yes, sort of.
What?
Okay. 6 scientists spent 365 days in a geodesic dome set in a Mars-like environment, 8,200 feet above sea level. The simulated habitat was located on the slopes of Mauna Loa, a volcano in Hawaii.
I did hear about that.
Yes. The experiment, the longest of its type ever conducted, was designed. This is where this cracks me up. It was designed to test crew cohesion and performance in isolation. It forms an important part of any real mission to Mars, as we all know, claustrophobic and locked up with somebody that you probably don't like, right? And we would have to see how they would gel together after 365 days. Well, they came out and had a press conference today. And I'm going to ask you, Reuben, have you ever been locked up in a room like the size of this bunker with anybody for 365 days?
I have not, and I don't wish to.
Right. Who would sign up for that? Now, it would be bad enough to be one person, like,
right.
Literally like a cellmate at San Quentin.
Yeah.
You can't escape.
Right.
You can't beg for the guard to let you out, right? You can't stand this guy. He's got bad body gas, whatever it is. He talks too much, right? He whatever. He's telling the same stories over and over again. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they went through. Now, but it was like a crew of 6 people
Right.
in a geodesic dome. Could you do it? Could you survive?
Well, for one thing, I couldn't do the food. The eating all the toothpaste type food and the crackers or whatever they got.
Right, right.
You know, I like my fresh, organic, good, healthy salads. I can't do it.
What? So salad from a tube? If they said
No.
they said this is organic everything,
No, sorry.
you're not buying into that.
No, you need some kind of preservatives in there to keep it going.
But I mean, how do you not kill somebody?
Right. I'm not only that. I mean, the Matt Damon movie was at The Martian. That was like a classic example. But I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be Matt Damon than be with a bunch of people.
I could survive alone.
Yes.
I could probably come out of it completely unscathed.
Right.
Give me some books, give me the Van Halen CD collection, and I'm pretty much good to go.
Right,
I could make it through. But they came out and did this press conference today like it was all good, like they smelled like rose water.
It wasn't like a UFC kind of
exactly. Right? I'm not buying into it. Can you imagine what was going on in there at each other's throats?
Well, you'd have to in order to spend that much time. You'd have to sort of settle your differences really early on.
And all of the mind games that go down with friends, no matter who your friends are, jealousy, love, hate, all of those things come into play.
Yeah.
And over 365 days, I imagine that a couple of the guys became buddies.
Sure.
Something happened.
Yeah.
And now he's buddy with the other guy.
Right.
The other guy's odd man out. Things like that.
It's your classic reality TV show.
Festering. Just wounded people, right? And they're coming out acting like, you know what, we can do this. We can go to Mars. We can do this for a couple of years. And I'm just not buying into it.
Well, that's our team then. If they survived, maybe we should send them to Mars.
Sedatives.
Sedatives, yeah.
Ayahuasca.
Hey, that would definitely not keep you in there.
This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. And I will be right back after the short break. Reuben Langdon is here. We're in the bunker. And maybe at the end of 3 hours, one of us won't kill the other. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's week 2 of Pure UFO on Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Nice. Yeah, I saw briefly about the SETI thing, but I didn't get through the whole article.
Pretty nutty.
Interesting. My predictions, this is just my predictions, that we're going to have slow disclosure still, but in that
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
So I think it's all building up.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
Eventually, they're going to be announced.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Signals, but we can't quite fit. And then
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here reminding you that June is Health Awareness Month, sponsored by GetTheT.com. GetTheT.com. Many of you have heard our tea commercial, maybe visited the website, but haven't committed because, well, you just don't know. Skeptical. We understand. Just to remind you, our tea is not just tea. In fact, very little tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs, removing intruders that attack your health. You brew our tea to make the concentrate, you add water, and put in the fridge. 2 8-ounce glasses a day, and life will be good. Visit us at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. And this month is lots of fun stuff with Health Awareness Month. You could be picked and receive your order absolutely free. You never know. Read the testimonies and try our products. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. And for great health tips, visit my YouTube channel at Health Matters Now, where you can learn about health tips and how products work on your body. Join me, GetTheT.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. Nothing like open mics in the studio. I hope we kept it clean, but I caught it. You didn't get to the good stuff. That's the important point. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon, and he is a Los Angeles-based actor, filmmaker, truth seeker, and one of Hollywood and Asia's most sought-after martial arts stunt. Hey, did you see the sword right there? What do you think you could do? You know, so if I piss you off during, you know anything about that? Oh, wait. Okay, go ahead.
Well, a little bit. It's a fencing. I'm more of a sort of a samurai kind of guy.
Right. But you could do damage with that, right?
A little bit.
Yo, man. Complementing his success in the world of film and television, he has performed in and produced numerous motion picture capture shoots for various video games, most notably, of course, Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, both franchises. Now, in April and May of 2013, he produced the Citizens Hearing on Disclosure, a historical event that brought together 40 witnesses from 10 different countries to testify in front of 6 former members of the United States Congress on the fact that the world is being engaged by extraterrestrials. To date, it is the most concentrated body of evidence and testimony ever put in one place and one time on the ET subject. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Reuben Langdon. Reuben, welcome.
Thanks, Jimmy. Glad to be here.
Let's, do you know Scott Rogers?
The stunt coordinator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been years, but I worked with him on Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. He did Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And during Spider-Man 2, I had him on the show here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was ages ago.
He lives up the street in Woodland Hills.
Oh, sweet.
Knows family, his kids.
Nice.
He's got 8,000 kids.
He does.
Yeah. I called him right before the show tonight,
okay.
I got his voicemail, so he's undoubtedly out.
Please say hi to him. Hopefully he remembers me. It's been ages.
He's got a really good memory.
Okay, good.
So I go into his house, and he goes, "Man, check this out." And for everybody, if you look up Scott Rogers and go to his IMDb page, you'll see that he has probably done 200 or 300 films, right? It's just like crazy, the amount of work that he's done. And so he's really cool, though. I mean, he's just a cool dude, right? And he's a good assistant director. He's always second camera and second director and all of that stuff. But so he's telling me, he goes, "Man, you got to check out my kid's bedroom." And I said, "What?" He goes, I think this is what was going on. Either a 3 or 4 sons, right? And they're all like below the age of 10, 2, 4, 6, and 8. and he has built this. They got climbing ropes that go from bunk bed to bunk bed. They got a rope bridge. They got this thing. It's like a little city. Dude, it's like he is the coolest dad ever.
Wow.
The stunt man that you think that he is as a dad is exactly who he is, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Could you imagine your dad building you like a rope bridge between your bunk beds?
He's training him to be stunt man.
Exactly right. Swinging, all the Spider-Man stuff, it's all going down inside the house. So
awesome.
Enough of that. Scott's a really cool guy, and I did reach out to him today, and I was going to bring him in and surprise you, but
cool.
So what I wanted to ask you, I kind of wanted to start off here.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of martial arts and Hollywood, stunt, acting, film, and everything else, for you to step out and become the truth seeker guy, does it affect your career? Do potential casting agents and other stunt coordinators out there go, dude, are you the UFO dude?
Yes, I'm definitely the UFO stunt guy.
Right.
But it's initially I actually had a lot of, coming out of the closet in that sense, sort of anxiety. Back, I had a sighting back in 2007, and I started investigating this stuff, and I really dove in deep. And then I went to one of Stephen Greer's CSETI events, where he sort of the CE5 summons the UFOs.
Yes.
And I had I have to say, I had the profound experience that weekend, 3 nights under the stars, and not just me but several others confirmed. We saw some stuff, and then I started to learn more about the history and the cover-ups and, basically everything that we showed in the Citizen hearing. I started to go deep into that information. And then I thought, this stuff, now I know too much. Now I can't not talk about this stuff. So I need to go out. And I was sort of a public figure with Dante and these different things. So I wrote a blog, and I was like, I'll just put it out in a blog and see what happens.
Right.
I didn't get too many bites, because it's a whole different audience. The people who follow the games and stuff. You would think there'd be more of a crossover, but it is pretty segregated in that sense. But I didn't get any flack either.
Really?
People were just like, "Oh yeah, Reuben's in the UFOs, okay."
All right.
So I kept diving deeper and deeper, and I kept publicly putting it out there that this is what I do, and this is sort of my my stunts and acting, and that sort of pays the bills. But on the side, I'm doing all this research and promoting disclosure, and that's sort of my fun stuff. But yeah, I just got known as this. Oh yeah, Reuben, he's into UFOs. Nobody really said anything too negative, or I never got any.
Well, the positive thing is you look normal, right?
Yeah, because that's about. I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, you look normal.
That's good.
So I guess that's you got that going for
right.
you.
And I I don't shove it down anybody's throat, and I don't say, hey, the ETs are real. You wake up, and punching people in the face.
Well, that experience in 2007, I want to expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
Was that the first time you've seen something?
Yes, that I kind of as a kid I was like, did I see a UFO? You don't really know, but
2007. You're an adult.
I'm an adult. I was working on Avatar.
Right.
It wasn't on set. It was in that span of 4 years that I was working on the film Avatar, playing an alien. I'm a Na'vi, and I was Jake Sully's stunt double, so I was like every day going to work and playing like I'm an alien running around.
That's
in
cool.
Motion capture suits. And,
right.
And I'm learning, I had to learn how to walk like a Na'vi and learn all these indigenous cultures, and really studying that sort of that realm, which I wasn't really that familiar or interested in. I lived in Japan for several years and studied that culture, but our native cultures I didn't really know a whole lot about. So it was pretty fascinating getting to know that stuff, and then also at that time I had watched The Zeitgeist and then
Frank Joseph,
Loose Change,
yes,
and it was YouTube was just coming online, so my mind was being peeled open. This is on set in the back of Avatar. I remember me and some of the other cast members were watching the these films, in breaks, and then they'd call us out to the set, and we'd like pause it and like, oh, we got to get back now. We need to talk. I'm like, can you believe it? Oh my God, is this real? Is this
right?
And then,
right.
But our minds are just being expanded with all this juicy information. And then it happened to be, shortly after that,
Well, who introduced you to Greer? Who was in your life at that point?
It was just after I saw my sighting. I had my sighting. I just went online, started searching, and then his name popped up, and I started, listening to some of his stuff, and he talked about the government cover-ups and the ARVs, and then I noticed he had an event in Tucson, and I was like, you know what, and I'm going to sign up for this thing. See what I remember. My girlfriend at the time, she was like, if you go to this thing, but she was actually into, she had her own sightings, and we talked about it. But later, our relationship was sort of getting rocky, and she says, if you go to that thing, I'm gonna break up with you. And I said, what kind of talk is that? We used to be all into this ET stuff. We talk about it all the time. She goes, no, that's ridiculous. That's tinfoil hat stuff.
Right.
Now you're taking it too far.
Right.
I was like, all right, whatever. Luckily for me, a month later, before the event, like a week before the event,
she breaks up with you.
She breaks up with me.
Okay, cool. So you're
first
free to
thing
go.
in my mind is, I can go.
I can go to Greer.
I can go see this event. So that's probably not what most.
Have you told Steven this story?
No, I have not.
Oh
but
man,
she said, wow, you're taking this really well. I said, well, now I get to do this thing guilt free.
Right.
So obviously I was more in love with this idea of connecting with ETs than I was with her.
Excuse me, how many people were at the event?
There was like, there's quite a, like 150 people.
Right,
it was a pretty big event. And so then we did that, and we saw, I saw more stuff and lights, and I'm like, and there's no way. I'm looking for the mirrors. I'm looking for.
Right. No, I want to stay right here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's focus.
Sure, yeah.
Focus, Reuben. Focus.
Sure.
How were you changed? Because Steven does his routine, right?
Right.
And I'm fully with Steven on this now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I, like everybody else, like your ex-girlfriend, my BS meter goes off.
Sure.
Nobody is summoning anything.
Right.
Okay. So, but no, I've had my experiences. I'm a changed man. But you don't know yet, right?
I don't know.
You don't know.
That time,
So at that time, so you get there and he's doing his thing. Yeah. The first time, that moment when you saw something in the sky and move, what happened? What happened to your brain?
Well, the first night, I thought I saw something. Okay, and it wasn't. I wasn't sure, and I was like, well, maybe it was just, maybe my eyes were playing tricks, and I don't know. So I wasn't 100% sure. And then I went down the next night, and then I saw like a little blip, oh, what was that? And then I saw another little thing, and I was like, okay, well, that's a little more definitive. It was the last night. It was the third night that just absolutely convinced me, because it was before we even did our meditation. I looked off to the left, and actually, no, a guy next to me, he nudges me, and he says, hey, what's that over there? And I said, oh my God. And these two red lights, parallel, they were jamming across the sky. Like if they were, because you could tell from the distance, they were so far away, but they were bright enough to see, and it was almost, it wasn't completely dark yet. And Greer was just prepping for his spiel to go into this meditation, and we were all there. And then I just saw these things, and then they stopped. One disappeared, the next one disappeared, and there were these bright lights. And then there was other things that went on the rest of the night that would just absolutely convinced me that was like, okay, he's not pulling the strings, because he's not even aware of it.
Right.
These other guys are seeing the same thing.
Right.
We had a little group of us that were like all pointing and like, oh my God, there's stuff.
Right.
So
how did you manage to wrap your mind around it? Or was it heavy sedatives and alcohol?
No.
Later?
And that was the other thing is, I was looking for what were they putting in the Kool-Aid? And
right.
Was there something in the punch that we were all drinking? And,
yep.
And I went to the restaurant, and I started talking to people and getting to know people. And I'm like, did you have a little something before you came over here? Or, what did you eat? So I'm trying to check all the possibilities of this thing not being what he's saying. This localized consciousness or non-local consciousness connecting to these ETs, and I couldn't really find anything. So I forget who said it. But what is it? This we have to look for the most obvious conclusion, no matter how out there it is. If it's the most obvious one, you go with it. And that's sort of after that experience, I was like, okay, there's something to this whole, mind going beyond into the quantum world and connecting to, time, space not really existing and all of this stuff. And
I have to ask you, did you drive to Tucson from LA?
No, I flew.
You flew?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, flying back to LA, you got a little me time, right, on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
Were you tripping?
Yeah, well, because I had already had my other experience in 2007, and I started researching. I was tripping in the sense that I needed to talk about this. Like, I needed to get this information out, and I thought, I don't care what people think anymore.
Right. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
Now I've crossed the line. Right. I've had my sightings in the past. I've had those, and I've shared them. Okay, whatever. This time around, if I'm going to share these experiences, and I'm talking about a contact in the desert last year, they had the mass sightings, right?
I heard your sighting. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. It's like, I don't know what it's like to be a gay man and come out of the closet.
Right.
But at some point you do, and you do it because you just don't care.
Yeah.
And you're free.
Yes.
You can you're free, right? That's where I was with that. It has to be the same kind of. I really don't. When I went on Coast, and it was one thing to do it on this show because this is my show, and I have my family and friends here, and they will accept anything, and so I'm like hanging out with my friends here. But when I called up Lisa over at Coast and said, she goes, "So what's your first hour guest?" I go, "Me." She goes, "What?" I said, "Well, I had this sighting." And I told her about it. She goes, "You know what? Go ahead and do it."
Nice.
And I said, "Okay." And I was like, you know what? I don't care what they're gonna say.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a way I got it off my chest.
Sure.
I knew that the critics were going to come at me.
Sure.
I realized that too.
Yeah.
But this funny thing about I really don't care was the prevailing feeling.
Yeah.
So
and you can't take away that experience.
You can't. That's exactly my point. And so that's what happened to you.
Yeah. I had that experience, and I just when we have these sort of sightings, these events, you can't take that away. There's something there, and in your heart. And I've seen looked through the night vision, and I've seen satellites, and I've seen could be this or could be that. I'm not sure, but there's certain things that that you've seen that are like, okay, that is not from this world.
Right.
That is not right there. It's almost it's because our eyes are trained to see what and experience every day. We see, we see planes, we see this, and we know what's sort of normal. And then when something out of the normal comes in, and sure, it could be something else, but there's something almost like telepathic in sense where that there's something different that is not what is normal. So the not only is the only logical, it's you almost feel it in your heart or in your stomach in a way where you're just like, okay, that's something.
What do you? You're a smart guy, so you know what you've seen, right? That's it. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
What do you do to combat somebody that is educated, somebody that is respected out there, and comes at you and tries to change your mind? Oh, what you saw was a satellite, sure. And I know, no, it wasn't what you. How do you deal with that?
Citizen hearing. Then I go and I produce the citizen hearing. That's you just start taking all of the other people's testimonies, all the other people's sightings and experiences, and you start collectively adding it to the pile, and you start looking, and you're like, okay, I'm not alone in this. There's several people have had these experiences, more in depth and more out there even, and then you're just like, okay, the hole goes really deep. The rabbit hole just keeps going and going, and And at some point, you have to sort of stop for your own sanity and say, okay, I can only go this far down the rabbit hole, or you can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems over the years, I've been going down that rabbit hole very, very deep. And like you and the guests on your shows, it's eventually we still have to put the brakes on for our own sanity at a certain point, but that hole goes deep. And there are people out there, and there's enough evidence out there if you choose to look at it, and other people can deny it and not look at it, and that's completely okay. That's sort of where I'm at now in my life is just, it's not about trying to prove anything.
Right.
Now it's about trying to get other people who've had these experiences and just simply, okay, what's the next steps? What do we do? How do we deal with this information, and where do we take it? It's not about trying to prove it to the guy who hasn't had these experiences, because to be honest, it's so experiential, all of this stuff.
It is.
Life itself is experiential, but especially in these realms, that it's not my job, and I can't go and convince this guy or that guy who doesn't believe. Now, if they ask questions, I'll tell you about my experiences, but I'm not going to go knocking on the door and preaching.
You can't force feed.
You can't force feed, and you can't go preaching to someone who doesn't even care, is not even open to that.
Do you think that Hollywood, in a sense, is force feeding the ET experience on their audiences? Because if there is a formula for a successful Hollywood movie, battle the aliens, let's just write the script, let's get it made, let's get it out there.
Right.
They do it. There's probably 2 or 3 releases per month, major blockbusters that all year long.
Right.
Do you think that there's something going on there with Washington and Hollywood, and or is it that we're okay with it now as a society and we need our fix, our alien fix?
Well, I think there's a little bit of both going on. I think there is the need for our fix, and enough people have had these experiences, consciously or unconsciously. The whole abduction scenario that went, may still be going on, but definitely went on, in the 80s and 90s, and you can't, those people, who've had those experiences. There's something subconscious about the whole alien phenomenon, and I think Hollywood knows this because the box office tells them, that let's put out an alien movie. Wow, people flock to it. Okay, that's numbers. So it's not that they're consciously picking up on the ET thing. It's somebody has some writer probably had an experience, unconsciously or consciously, who knows, and wrote a script about, that's something, his interpretation of those experiences, and some producer, again, consciously, unconsciously, had an experience, saw something, that's good. This is a good script. Let's get this made.
Yeah, let's greenlight this.
Let's greenlight this. And then it makes some money. And, let's do another one, and then that sort of ripple effect that's been going on for decades now. It's just a reflection of what's already in the consciousness right now.
Right. And what do you think about the urban legend out there with Steven Spielberg and his knowledge and his inside knowledge and his connections to, the White House and D.C. and disinfo and so forth? What do you think about that? Because his films are so different.
Right.
Do you think that there is some truth to it?
It's hard to say. It's so hard to say. I personally, I've worked with Spielberg. I don't, maybe it could be, but at the same time, it could be us projecting that we want, maybe, I know Cameron has advisors for like The Abyss and other films. Even on Avatar, he had all these advisors come in to sort of, in the cultural aspects of the cultural backgrounds of the Na'vi and then linguistics. And they get all of these different experts, so to say, in the field, and they could easily be, hey, this is based on my research, and this is what could be happening. And both Spielberg and Cameron, these guys have huge budgets, so they can sort of do that. So maybe Spielberg himself maybe not have really known, but there was maybe somebody on set that had some experiences, and they may have been grabbing from that. The whole was it the movie that supposedly took place in Alaska? The Fourth Kind.
Yeah, Fourth Kind.
So, I know you know the story behind that, where they got the ET researchers in a room and took all their notes and then said, see ya, and then they kind of did their own thing. So that sort of thing happens. And then everybody thinks, oh, that was a real event, and that thing happened, and it was just like that. And all the time I'm telling me, actually, no, it's sort of loosely based on real events and stuff, because they got the researchers, they hired them, and they only kept them on for, a week to basically get all their notes. But that kind of stuff happens in Hollywood all the time. So was it Spielberg really in the know, or was it just, some advisor guy that gave him some notes and he's like, oh, that's good, that works in my story, I'll do that.
Would you tell me the truth if you knew it? See, I think you're dancing right now.
No,
I mean, okay, so with
I can say this. I did ask James Cameron, and privately in a hotel room, I said, Jim, tell us about ETs. What do you know about the ETs? And this was after I'd already had my sightings and stuff. I was like, I got to know what he knows.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, maybe, could be there, but if they're there, we're like ants to them,
Well, he's right.
And he's like, they don't care about us. We're just, we're so small on the scale. And I was like, you never had any experience? All your films? And he was like, no.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, because it was like my one time.
Crushed. Yeah.
I know. Now
man.
did he know that like I'm the UFO stunt guy and that I'm gonna go blab this out to the world? So
right.
is he just saying this to
make sure you don't run your mouth?
Don't run my mouth? Yeah. or was he he seemed pretty genuine when he did it. But yeah, so I don't know. I think being in the industry and seeing this stuff, if there is some sort of manipulation, which I believe, we know the CIA stories, we know there's been a lot of research in the disinfo world of them sort of funding films and putting things out there.
They've submitted their own scripts. They've changed scripts.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that is documented fact.
Right. So we know that happens, but honestly, I don't think the producers and I don't think the screenwriters and the film people actually really know that is even happening.
Pawns in chess.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And I think because they're making entertainment. They're making, the audience will love this.
Right.
So I think if it is happening, it's happening at a level that's so behind the scenes and under the table. Things get slipped in, and maybe a phone call to an agent or to a manager or to a deal guy, and this phone call comes in. Oh, we got this. Oh, and this is what we're doing now. Okay, yeah, this is what we're doing. Oh, that's what we're doing. Oh, he says that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Right.
And it's sort of like that, and it's compartmentalization at its finest.
Wow. Let's take a break right here. And when we come back, I want to talk about the genesis of the citizens' hearing and how you put that together. And if you had any contact in between 2007 and the citizens' hearing, which obviously kicked off 2012, 2013,
right?
As that got put together, what happened in between there to influence you to jump in feet first? Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, Tom DeLonge, Blink 182, right here on Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Fade or not, things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction. Chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative, author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tepe. IRA and 401k account holders, are you crossing your fingers for the stock market to continue its bull run? Or hoping for a miracle to pay off our $19 trillion national debt? American Bullion wants you to think for a moment. If we go through another significant stock market correction and things begin to unravel, you could suffer some serious losses. On the other hand, gold is a proven long-term asset that could hedge and protect your retirement accounts from getting washed away. Call American Bullion now and let them show you how easy it is to transfer your existing IRA or roll over your 401k into a gold IRA. American Bullion has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and is a leader in gold IRAs. With just one call, their experts can explain everything there is to know and get you started with a free gold IRA guide. Call 1-800-545-2525. Don't procrastinate. Save your retirement. Call American Bullion now at 1-800-545-2525. That's 1-800-545-2525.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're of the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. He's right here in the bunker. Normally I say Twitter is live to my left. Tonight I get to say Reuben Langdon is live to my left. Now, tomorrow night, Blink 182 singer and guitar player Tom DeLonge is here. We're going to talk about his book and his project, Secret Machines, and other things. We might get a little music in as well. And then Wednesday night, Linda Moulton Howe is here. Thursday night, David Icke is back on the show. Tremendous week here on Fade to Black, and come and join us. All right. Now, Reuben, what happened between 2007 and the idea for the citizen hearing?
Well, I had just kept researching, going deep after the Greer event. I ended up meeting, actually through Jeremy Corbell, who we had on last week. I met Stephen Bassett, and he seemed to sort of take the whole thing from a different angle, from the politics angle, the whole disclosure idea. And I was like, okay, kind of like Greer, but more just focused on that aspect. I thought, okay, this would probably resonate with more people.
Well, let me ask, how did you meet Jeremy?
So Jeremy and I, I've known Jeremy for years now. He was a jiu-jitsu master, as you know, from the last interview. And he was coaching me. Let's see.
Shut up. So you have wah.
Yeah, it's some jiu-jitsu. So
with Jeremy.
Jeremy,
is he really that badass?
Oh, he's a badass guy.
Really?
He's pretty badass.
Who can kick whose ass?
He would definitely kick my ass.
Really? Okay.
Because I just do it for the film.
He looks like he could.
I just do it for the film, and he does it for real.
Right.
And,
okay.
And he so he had put out his video and a producer or a director for this film. What was his name? Guy, I think. Yeah, Guy. Really loved his work and wanted him to sort of coach and teach the stunt guys some of his special moves. He wanted to incorporate some of Jeremy's special moves in his film. So I was helping put together a previs, we call it, like a test fight scene, a test bit for this film. And I was playing one of the main characters. You know, I wasn't really the main character in the film, but I was sort of put for the test purposes.
Right.
And they said, Reuben, you got to learn these moves. I said, okay. And then Jeremy was there. He was sort of like the fight coordinator, fight teacher on set to teach me these moves. And he's like, okay, this is how you do it. You go up and so I'm learning some of Jeremy's signature moves that they were incorporating in this film. And we hit it off, and I had no idea he was into UFOs. And I think at this point, this was probably pre-sighting too. This was like 2006 or.
Oh, gotcha.
So we sort of did that and did the shoot, and it went well. And Jeremy's moves made me look awesome. I was kicking everybody's butt. And then, and later we worked on another film. Same thing, another coordinator, different film. They were saying, hey, have you ever worked with this guy? Jeremy's showing me his stuff online. I was like, yeah, that guy, a couple, like it was been a couple of years. He's like, yeah, he came and taught me some of his moves. He's like, yeah, we're going to bring him in. And so I see Jeremy again. And he's like, yeah, how's it going, man? And Jeremy's a different person now. He's like seen the world. He's been around, and he's an artist. He gives me one of his art cards, and he says, yeah, come, I'm doing a fashion show. And I'm like, a fashion show? Okay. So yeah, come check it out. I'm like, all right. So I go check it out, and I'm like, wow, this dude's like totally different guy. And then I don't know what happened. And then a couple of years go by again. I had my experience. He had his experience. And then I think I saw his Silver Surfer video, and I heard his voice. I'm like, is that you? And he's like, yeah, man, that's me. And I saw a website he had put together with these ancient pictures and old artifacts with UFOs in the background. And sort of making this connection. I'm like, dude, I got to totally tell you about my sighting I had. And then so we sort of reconnected at that time. And then he kept showing me his work, and I became a fan. I was like, dude, your work is awesome. I love your stuff. And if the opportunity ever comes to work together, let's do it. And so then the citizen hearing came. I kind of kept him. He connected me. He's like, "Oh, let's go hang out at the UFO Cafe, or what was it called? Flying Saucer Cafe in Santa Monica at the time."
Right.
I was like, "What? That exists?" And he said, "Yeah, dude,
yes.
There's this guy, Stephen Bass, is going to be talking there." I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." So we go down and.
Did you know who Bassett was at that point?
No.
Okay.
So that's sort of where it started, and then Bassett had this idea to do the hearings, and I was like, yeah, that's a solid idea. Let's package it together and put it in a documentary format. And then I actually hired Jeremy to film the documentary portion of the film.
Are you as impressed as I am the way that Jeremy frames his shots and the way that he does his work?
He's got an eye for sure.
It's incredible how he. I mean, look, I've got video cameras all over the studio. I've got them on the floor. There's bags of video cameras in here. I look like a kid in kindergarten drawing stick figures. That's what my videos look like. How does he do it? And he's very nonchalant about it.
Yeah, he's got an eye for sure. And I noticed this when his fashion work, and I started seeing his somewhere he went around the world. He shifted from jiu-jitsu martial artist to artist and then to film artist. So he's an art guy. He's just one of these art guys that have that eye for that stuff. And I totally appreciate it, and I love his work, and it was so cool. I had to twist his arm a little bit to get him to agree to do the citizen hearing.
What year was this? The Flying Saucer Cafe?
Oh, this was like it's probably 2011.
2011.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, and how long?
Yeah, 2011.
How long did it take? Because that was a pretty complex event on every single level.
Right.
With the speakers and the production and the logistics, and it's in Washington and Congress. Everything that was put together. It's pretty complex.
Yeah, it came together actually really quick, and we should have had more time to sort of put it together, but we sort of put the date in, and I had never produced an event to that caliber. I've done film shoots, video game shoots.
It may be a while before you do another one of that caliber. I mean, was a pretty seminal event.
It was a hefty piece of stuff. So we sort of set the date and then launched the go sign, and there was no turning back. And we had a lot of help from a lot of people. Joe Buckman came in, and
Joe,
and he was responsible for getting the Congress members. So if it wasn't for him,
right,
we wouldn't have even had any of the Congress members. So hats off for him.
Joe is the coolest dude ever. I was just on a little side note. So every time that I talk to Joe, he's in another part of the country driving somewhere, right? And so we're out in Roswell back in July, speaking at Roswell, and up comes Buckman, Bookman,
right,
comes up, and he's all disheveled, and I'm like, dude, what's up? He goes, dude, man, I just spent 3 months in my camper. And so I'm picturing like a tour bus,
right.
And I said, where is it? I'm looking around because he pointed, and I didn't see it. And he goes, it's right there. It's a van.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, dude, 3 months and that? And but that's what he does, man. He just goes around the country.
He travels the country, and he does have a pretty sweet setup. I've seen inside of his van. He's got it.
It's all that. I don't want everybody to think that it's some broken down thing. Right. No, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But it's still a van.
It's still a van.
It's he goes, man, I finally got laundry done today.
Right.
He goes, I was getting pretty ripe. And I was like, Joe Buckman, he's the best, man. He is absolutely very educated guy.
For sure. And so him, many others came in, and it was definitely a collaborative event, and it came together. It was unfortunate because there was a lot of overspending that happened during the event, which took away from the actual documentary budget. So,
can you speak publicly about a couple of things? How much was budgeted for that? Can you speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, originally it was 1.1 million was the budget, but in actuality, by the time we got the final paychecks, because this is as crazy as it sounds. I think this may be the first time I put this out there. Our pay was in silver bullion.
What?
You can't write better stuff.
So, man,
by the time we cashed our silver out, the price of silver had dropped considerably. So there goes our documentary budget. So, somewhat.
You were paid in silver, bars?
Coins.
Okay, so $1.1 million.
Yes, in silver.
In silver. It doesn't come in a check.
No.
Not a PayPal transfer, right?
No.
$1.1 million in silver.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Do you go to the bank and cash that in? You got to turn it into money somehow.
We had to sell the silver in order to fund the project. And we couldn't sell silver fast enough.
How many pounds of silver is $1.1 million?
Oh, it always, I don't know. It was ounces. We always used the ounce term. So it was like so many ounces of silver. So we were constantly trying to sell silver to fund the project.
Was the silver on paper, or did it arrive in a bank truck?
No. It was all on paper. It was all, the banks were dealing with it.
Right.
Yeah. So we didn't have to physically.
Right.
At some point, I was wishing I had physically had the silver, because that would have been way cooler and
totally cool.
And would have made good documentary material.
Sure.
But so it was. And at times we had to sell silver for under the price that it was worth at the time. So when it was all said and done, our actual budget was not 1.1. It was probably closer to 75, maybe 800,000, which is still a good sizable,
big chunk of money.
Big chunk of money. And unfortunately, because again the trigger was pulled, I think earlier than it should have been, and unfortunate planning and things happen. the money was just flying out, flying out the window, because we had pulled the trigger and we had to put the show must go on no matter what.
Right.
And
so at that point, I mean, the buffet went from buffet to ramen noodles.
Well,
was
no,
it kind of like that?
It should have. That's what.
Did it go from the
done.
Hilton to Motel 6?
No. It stayed at the press club because all the contracts were signed. Everything was in play.
Right.
So nothing changed. The actual event went on. The unfortunate event, what happened was our documentary. So the budget that was going to go into the documentary got wasted.
Right.
Not wasted. I mean, it did go into the hearings, and the remarkable hearings, and as good as they are, and the production value and everything else. And that was sort of an executive decision that was made at the last minute. We even brought Jeremy in and said, "Hey, look, dude, I'm so sorry. This is where we're at, and this is what's going on." And we just, this is our.
Because you have your crew, you've hired Jeremy. The documentary is there.
Right.
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we still went to the hearings themselves and filmed and did the best we could with what we had. But we knew after that the funding, post production, and any other additional interviews and material that needed to get done, just was going to have to be put on the back burner. And it sort of still has been. It's been years later, and we have a remarkable amount of footage from the building up to the hearings.
Right.
Unfortunately, afterwards and stuff, Jeremy and I have still been working in our spare time and when we could, funding without funding, with little or very little funding. We've been going out and doing the work that we can do, but it's still, a documentary of that size and proportion. It needs a budget. It needs to get made.
It has to be.
It costs money to fly across the country. It costs money, especially in the post process, and that's where a lot of the money would have gone to. So, we, Jeremy and I, we remained on good terms, and we're still trying to figure out the strategies, and he and I are in charge of all of the actual footage of the hearings. So we're trying to get the footage out there and raise money with the footage that we do have, the actual hearing footage. So any money that we make from that is going back into the documentary.
I got you.
So,
well, take me to the hearings itself. I have said publicly many times that there were some pretty magical moments that went down there.
Yeah.
Particularly Richard Dolan's 10-minute speech. And I've talked to Richard about this directly. I've introduced Richard at different events, and I always bring up that 10-minute ramble of his because it represented ufology and our group really, really well. He's a well-spoken, intelligent guy.
Absolutely.
He didn't screw up. He didn't flub any words.
Right.
Which is always important. Right.
Yeah.
But and I'm not so sure that at the end of that, if he even knew the impact that it would have on a global sense.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I got out of the citizen hearing. How about you? Was there a moment for you?
Well, Richard for sure was key, in his knowledge and expertise and research that's gone into the field. It was absolutely key to the event. And I think he's probably sat on more panels than any of the other speakers and researchers just because of his vast knowledge of all of these different events. And and he's published books and written books, and he's got his own publishing company. But wow, there's so many. It's not talked about that much, but I really loved Danny Sheehan's testimony.
Yes.
Because he, for me, he sort of hit the issue nail on the head when he talked about what's needed in this world is a new world view.
Right.
It's not about sort of beating the bush, so to say, which we've been doing over the years, trying to say, well, he said this, and this person had that, and this, and well, collectively, we all just need to sort of shift and change our view on these things, on this issue particularly, in order to address it and move forward. So I really, and I think some of his clips are online for free, so check those out. But Paul Hellyer astonished the world when he talks, he starts talking about these different ET races and going into such detail that he did, and nobody sort of expected, Paul Hellyer, former defense minister of Canada, to actually go so in depth into the issue as he did. Obviously, Robert Salas, and the nuke panel was amazing. So many different people of that statue having all the same experiences where their bases are getting shut down, and there's big black saucers hovering above, and the pilots and the technology. Roger Lear, before his passing, it was just before his passing, he was there testifying about the implant removals and the technology that he's removed from patients. Stephen Greer, the first disclosure project, he was there testifying about a lot of his interactions. And there's just, if anybody hasn't seen the Citizen Hearing, please go to citizenhearing.org and just, it's 30 plus hours of some of the most amazing testimony from the most well-researched individuals, as well as the actual witnesses, people, military and government witnesses, and people who've seen and had these experiences.
Right.
Very credible. The Bentwaters panel was super touching, just to see and hear all the craziness that these guys have had to put up with over the years of, not even having their health records classified, and the heart problems that
John Burroughs
has had, and thank God that's all cleared now, and and thanks to the Citizen Hearing for sort of exposing that and getting things moved. But and then watching the Congress members and watching their
let me ask
shift.
You brought up a really strong point. What was their attitude at the beginning of the hearing? It felt to me like I was witnessing some eye rolling.
Oh yeah, totally.
Was it like that?
Yeah, at the beginning they were like, okay, we'll see where this goes. They were sent packages of information of
were they paid?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so they were paid. Were they paid to? What was the agreement with them to have an open mind? We're paying you, so at the end of this, you're going to say something positive. Yeah. You're now going to come on the other side of the fence.
There was no, to my knowledge, Joe did a lot of the speaking with them. So,
right. But you know what I mean. That's what the critics are going to say.
Yeah,
that's what
they were paid. They said, look, here, we want you to sit on this panel and conduct it just like a regular congressional hearing. And we're going to provide you the evidence, and then after that, you guys make your own decisions. There was no if you say anything negative, we're not going to pay you. No, there was nothing like that at all. There was no deal signed at that. There was
to be clear. I need people to hear this.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So it was just simply, we're paying you for your time, so please sit there and conduct this as you would a regular congressional hearing. We're going to pay you, and this is in the papers. It was $20,000, which. People are like, oh my God, $20,000, that's a huge amount of money for those people at that statue. And if you hear what Hillary Clinton gets paid for events,
right.
This was peanuts for what they would normally get paid. A retired congressperson paid at certain events. And we're not talking certain events. We're talking not only the 5 days, but the day before, the day after. They had to be there.
Press conferences,
right. Openings. There was and press interviews,
right.
and there was a lot of stuff going on. It was a busy 7 days, really, of 5 days of testimony, but 7 days of just constant being on. They had to be on their on the mic, so to say,
right.
For a long time. So, being in the film business and stuff, $20,000 for a week's worth of work it's not bad, but it's not
right.
These people put in the years too.
Right.
So,
right.
So they were all just to watch their transformation and the questions they were asking. And, Joe was sort of there, and even Danny Sheehan was up there at first couple of days just to sort of help ask questions if they didn't know what to ask. They totally nailed it. They didn't.
Well, plus Danny's no stranger to Washington.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that most of them, they all knew who Danny was,
yes.
but possibly even had a relationship with him that may not even have been a good one.
Right. Well, the Pentagon Papers.
The Pentagon, that's what I mean. He's a pit bull, right?
And Senator Gravel,
Yes.
So there was definitely, so having that sort of, wow, how did that happen?
Right.
So thanks to Joe again for making, bringing everybody together in that sense.
And was there, I felt a transformation information over those 2 days.
Oh, absolutely.
And for you, was it the same thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was over the 5 days. But yeah, after day one, really, day one, you could start to see the eyes started to, like, instead of the rolling of the eyes, things started to squint. Oh, what's going on there?
Right.
This is interesting. Oh, wow, we're looking forward to coming back tomorrow. This is more, this is more fascinating than we thought it was going to be. And then definitely over the 5 days, and then still today you have Congressman Cook and others still doing interviews talking about it.
Oh, Merrill Cook.
Yeah, Merrill Cook, and so it impacted their lives, and who knows if they could do anything in the future. I don't know how powerful retired Congress members are in the political.
Well, Merrill spoke at UFO Congress last year.
Yeah, and
so he's fully out of the closet now.
He's fully out of the closet, and all the members actually, they had no problem talking to the press, and once and it wasn't like, oh, this is tinfoil hat stuff. They were like, there's something to look at here. We've seen even like 3 or 4 days into the hearings, they were telling the press, no, this is something serious is going on here.
Yeah, I think 2 years, not this past year, but 2 years ago at Contact in the Desert, I got a tap on the shoulder. I was sitting there with, I think it was Dolan, and it was Merrill Cook.
Oh, he was there.
Yeah, and I said, hey, man, it's good to meet you. And I was like, wow, you're here.
Yeah.
So I guess you've arrived.
Yes.
It was pretty interesting. Now,
and he was actually probably the most reluctant one to go.
He seemed reticent. Yes.
Yeah.
He did.
And he couldn't wrap his mind around it, and and then now look at him. He's full in.
He'll be the grandmaster at the next Roswell parade.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Totally.
With a boa, waving around. We're going to head towards a break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the post-atmosphere of the citizen hearing, and what do you think the impact has had on Washington, if any at all. I want to go there. And also, we're in a pretty crazy election year, too, as well, and where disclosure may be headed. And I think disclosure has turned into a foul word here in ufology. It's overused.
Right.
It is. If I have one question that is that prevails with the callers, with email, people on the street that come up to me, and it's constant, is, Jimmy, what about disclosure? Can we talk about disclosure? Can we talk? And I just think that, well, I don't want to influence your answer, but I'm almost tired of hearing it when I think that we've already had it, the disclosure aspect side of it. That's my opinion. I don't want to influence you. Our guest tonight is Reuben Langdon, live right here in the bunker. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Tom DeLong. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
FoodForLiberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from Numana. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, Numana is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from Numana. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. This is week 2 of Pure UFO here on Fade to Black. Tonight, it's Reuben Langdon. Tomorrow night, Tom DeLong is going to be here. Wednesday night, Linda Moulton Howe. Thursday night, David Icke. That is a pretty strong week. And come and hang out with us all week on Fade to Black. Now, Reuben, we have the completion of the citizen hearing, and it's done. What do you think about the way Washington looked at it? Do you think it stuck with them?
Absolutely not. I think Washington did, if they even looked at it. You know, that's the question. And based on actions, I would say probably not. So at the end, but that doesn't mean it was a waste of time or energy.
Right.
They're definitely maybe behind closed doors. Some conversations were had, things, you know, there's probably more of an awareness now than there was. But, you know, obviously it hasn't done anything to move the issue along any. But what it has done, because it put the whole thing in a very palatable format for the average Joe. You know, and I point people to the citizen hearing all the time who want to know more about ufology, want to know what's going on. I'm like, hey, the ABCs of ufology. The complete, you know, 10 disc set, or, you know, go online. We have it on streaming, and check it out. And most people, if not everybody, who has actually sat through the entire hearings, and they come back to me like, oh my God, this is, my entire worldview has shifted now because of this information. So in that sense, it's not a waste. But as far as Washington's concerned, I really don't think much is going to happen there.
Who visited the hearings that were in the background that were maybe not necessarily invited? Was there anybody else, any other senators or House of Representatives?
There was what's his name?
Was Bush there?
No.
I was joking. That was a joke. But was there somebody standing in the background? Wolf Blitzer dropped by.
No. We had the comedian. What was his name? Oh man, I'm going missing on names right now. But we had a political comedian show up. We had
any other politicians though? Anybody from the military?
No. I mean, Burrow said during his press conference at the UFO Congress when he came out about his medical records not being declassified, but him getting a full medical pardon, and his pension and everything getting reinstated. He said that there was somebody in the audience that knew about the issue in his heart about the technology involved. So that it was this, it was only around UFOs, the special radiation that was that was affecting his heart in this negative way. It seems to be common amongst people who have interactions with UFOs or UAPs, as it was discussed in the paperwork that he was able to get freed from the Freedom of Information Act. And so that goes to show me that, okay, you have a specific scientist that understands about this radiation that I think he had some military ties to. So there was some important people in the audience that, if that guy was there, who else could have been there that we just didn't know?
Right.
So there may have been people there. There may have been people watching live, or
you know what you should have done. At DEF CON, right, the hackers conference in Las Vegas, they play Spot the Fed.
Oh,
That's
really?
what you guys should have done. You guys should have played Spot the Fed right there.
Oh my God! I was putting out so many fires. I couldn't. I would have loved to play that game, but
the spot the man in black.
Spot the men in black. Exactly. No, so there was jokes like, "Oh, the ETs are here." They're some of our more sensitive, intuitive people that were there were like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of ETs here."
The room was. I don't want to dwell on this, but I wasn't there. The room seemed like it was packed. How many people were actually there?
The first couple of days, it was pretty packed. During some of I think people got the idea after a while, and it thinned out a little bit. And then the last days, the last day, it was pretty packed again. So, shoot, I don't know how many chairs did we have. Few hundred. So,
that's about what I was thinking. Yeah. It looked like it was a full house.
It was definitely. Yeah, we had a line initially the first day. We had a line out the door that we had turned people away that were filled up. So
now here we are today. It's 2016. Do you think that it is influencing that bad word of disclosure?
Influencing in a positive way, yes. Influencing the political structure that we have in place that's sort of holding the glue that's keeping disclosure from happening in that sense.
Right.
Probably isn't even making a dent in that monster.
And why do you think that is?
Just because that construct of that organism, if you want to call it that.
That is Washington.
Yeah, that is Washington. Is so in its way, placed, and anything that could be a threat,
a disruptor,
it's gonna put its disruptor blockers on, and it's and I really don't think anyone in that monster, in that organism, really cares about what is disclosed. That they may fear it. If anything, they're going to try to keep it from happening the best that they can.
Do you feel, now that you have done this kind of research and the contacts that you do have now, do you think that they know something that they can't talk about?
It's very much like the Hollywood analogy that we just talked about. There are certain people that, like we said, the CIA is probably spoon feeding in this compartmentalization of, these directors and these people sort of getting scripts and doing the things, without real knowledge. I think it's very similar in the political realm, that people are sort of going on the autopilot. It's so compartmentalized, and this is my job, and this is what I'm going to do. And you ask certain questions and you don't ask certain questions. And I'm going to go about my life, and these are the issues that I need to address. And I think certain people are almost like pawns in a chess piece, placed in certain positions because they are the pawns. They are the ones that are good at doing that job. And, if they start asking certain questions, then they're easily replaced, and they're going to be, put somewhere else. And I think our whole political structure is sort of governed by other forces than what we really see. And we, the people, only see just what we believe, what they want. They're putting on, it's a show. It's just like show business. This is what's happening. And then you go to ask them, hey, you really know a lot more than you know. And they say, no, I don't. And I believe them. I actually believe, just like I believe James Cameron. He, maybe not.
Well, what's interesting here is we have Leslie Kean and her approach to disclosure.
Yeah.
We have Stephen Bassett, his approach. We have Stephen Greer with his approach. All completely different approaches on this, and they're both outspoken about the other, about the way that they're approaching it. And in a way, I agree with all three of them.
Sure, I do too.
And you need to keep your foot on the neck of Washington somehow. It's better to have that than not to have it. Like SETI.
Right.
A great example is with SETI right now, there are so many people out there that, SETI's worthless. It nothing's, and then boom, we have this right now. If we would have shut SETI down, we wouldn't have what we have this week with this big announcement. That being said, do you think disclosure is going to happen in another way and not come from Kean, Bassett, and Greer, and maybe from a guy like Tom DeLonge, or the work that Jeremy Corbell is doing too as well? It could come from another genre and another section of society.
I think it's all collectively part of the puzzle pieces. So it's not one or the other. The citizen hearing and, what Bassett's doing and what Leslie Kean and Greer, they're all doing their parts to sort of massage that very hard, tight and, overly worked organism of Washington. And then there's, sort of what my work and what Jeremy's work and what we're doing right now is sort of educating the public, and just putting it out there with your work, really getting people to listen to the show and massage the people, because I think we can definitely hit more masses in this way. That massage the massaging the organism of Washington, that's a thick single unit organism that's going to take a lot of work.
How do you think disclosure is going to happen?
Personally, if anybody was listening when we still had the mic on.
That was the good stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Personally, I have, I've tapped into, we can get into some really wild stuff later, because I go way out there now with my sort of belief systems and modalities and my experiences. But I've sort of heard through the grapevine, and I subscribe to this, that it's going to be a slow process. We had a good nugget today with SETI sort of announcing their potential. They're not saying it's aliens, but something's there. We've had the ancient alien theory with all the show has been pushing it out there and presenting all this evidence. Now maybe the next step would be for an official ancient alien type artifact. We found this. Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe is a great example of this, pyramid structure that's way older than the other pyramids. And then maybe in there could be an artifact that they uncover that's, millions of years old. And this is, the technology just doesn't form. So we have an official disclosure event where it says we have now confirmed an artifact that cannot be denied. And then, but they're long gone. So that was a long time ago. And but we know that aliens exist based on this artifact, based on these signals. This is disclosure. It's happening right now, and all we have to do is pay attention to these little nuggets. And then the next step, I believe, which may happen in whichever order this happens, we're going to have another Phoenix Light event, mass sighting. This time with everybody with their cell phones. This time, so HD, YouTube, it's viral, all of this stuff. We didn't have this in 97.
Right.
So then that's going to be the big, again, it won't be like full on government coming out, but I think that'll be another big event that people will say, hey, there's okay, now there's something to this. And then maybe a few years later, then we'll have the official government, because.
You think that it's possible. Let's say all of this plays out. You're saying that a few years from now, that because resistance is now futile, that somebody in Washington or maybe even the president will step up to the podium and say, hey, we have to talk.
Right.
You think it'll actually come to that point?
I think it's just like marijuana, gay marriage. I think it's the people have to come up and, even marijuana now, medical marijuana is legalized in like 25 states. And still the federal level, it's still illegal, and some people say it's always going to be illegal. But let's keep going, let's push it. Let's get another 10 states.
On this program tonight, we've talked about massaging organs in Washington. We've talked about coming out of the closet.
Yes.
Now we're on to gay marriage and ufology. It is all one and the same.
And marijuana.
Yeah, marijuana.
and we'll
we didn't even get to ayahuasca. Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected. But I don't. This is what I have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
Washington has and I'm pretty confident in saying this. I'm pretty cocky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody in Washington has ever stepped up to the mic and said we've lied on any subject. It doesn't matter what the subject is, let alone aliens.
What about the infusing folks with mosquito? Didn't they admit to that, to the mosquito?
Wait, did you hear what you just said? Didn't they? I can't quite. That's my point.
Oh, okay.
All right. I don't think they've ever done that. And
the
for
Gulf of Tonkin event, didn't they eventually, in some way?
They sort of came out and said,
Right.
okay.
Right.
Have they said that it was a false flag that kicked off the Vietnam War, and that's what we meant it to do?
Right.
Full disclosure on that side. I think that we know now that they've admitted that it wasn't an offensive attack,
right,
from the North Vietnamese. But that being said,
You're right.
Something like this, as big as this would be, imagining anybody in any capacity stepping up in Washington and saying something like that, then that forces the United States and the world to go back and go, okay, wait a minute. If you lied about that,
sure,
that means you've lied about this, and this, and this, and that opens up a can of worms that I'm not so sure that it can be opened, even if a flying saucer landed on the 405 freeway.
Well, that can of worms is being opened in other ways. I mean, look at the DNC scandals going on right now. The WikiLeaks keep coming through. People are like being blown away almost on a daily basis. That
right.
Oh my God, the corruption goes deep, and we're finding out now that, whether they admit to it or not, we have whistleblowers that are coming out and saying that this stuff is real. The lies are really, really deep, and let's see how far they can go. And there's still a lot more data that can be dropped in how far all these lies go.
I have closed my eyes and imagined this scenario a lot, and I think Dolan has really kind of hit the nail on the head on this too. But I don't think, and I don't want to break hearts here, but I just don't see that happening. Them stepping up and saying, "Okay, yes, we've had contact since 1947."
No, I don't. I agree with you. I
think it'll be something a little bit softer.
I think it's going to be softer. Either softer in the sense that, like I just said, the hypothetical idea of an artifact, and then the lights, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, there's something there, but we're still investigating," that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
They won't go into the past.
No.
They will say something like, and this is my crystal ball.
Right.
We have found evidence of contact out there. We know now that there's life out there. We didn't know before, but we know now, and we're going to go check it out.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And the whistleblower stuff, just like with the WikiLeaks and the DNC, is sort of even though that information is out there and people can go see it and read it, some people are still subscribing to the Democratic Party and to and who knows what the other parties, but the party system, and they're still going along with it as if that doesn't exist. So just like with government, it'll continue to go on. Even though we have all of this citizen sharing information and we have all of this other stuff that continues to come out, until finally one day, just like with gay marriage, just like with marijuana, and eventually, GMO labeling, and eventually they're going to say, oh well, yeah, nothing was wrong in the past, and we're simply moving in this direction.
Right.
So yeah, I agree.
Now you brought up a mass situation like the Phoenix Lights. To me, we just had that in Joshua Tree. And you were there. Were you there that night?
No, unfortunately, I hit the road.
You left.
I think I left, and I should have stuck around. I didn't know that was what was happening. But
man,
but I stay up in Big Bear a lot, and I do go down to Joshua Tree, and trust me, I've seen some crazy stuff.
And here we are, and this is what I find is an interesting point that you just brought up. Here there were Joshua Tree's not a small town. 29 Palms. These are not small. I mean, that's a big. It's not a city. But it is a city. They have a Walmart, okay? So, right? They have a Costco,
right?
Or two. So I'm not downplaying the size of the communities there. This is not some backwater,
right.
with 20 people in a couple of trailers.
Right.
It's two cities that are next to each other. And here these events go on. At Contact at that point, I don't know how many people were there at that evening on Saturday night, but I'm going to guess and say a few thousand people were there. There was a couple of hundred that were standing around me, 150. I've heard numbers 150 to 250 people. Let's say it's 150 that were standing around me that can back up my BS when I say, what I witnessed. So I consider that a mass sighting, and I really do think that 5 or 10 years from now, historically, that event is going to be significant, and people are going to look back and go, hey, that happened at Contact in the desert, and there was a few thousand people there, and it was at, above a city and a marine training facility, 29 Palms. This was not a small event.
Right.
I saw it, and I'm not so sure if Anderson Cooper was there with CNN and they were there taping it and they were standing next to me and witnessed everything that I saw, and Cooper could have seen it himself, that it would have made the evening news.
Exactly. But if you have...
we need 1 million people? Are you saying we need 1 million?
I'm close. I think, Phoenix Lights, there's estimated thousands of people who saw it. I did a guest appearance at an anime convention there, and I just said, raise of hands, how many of you guys saw Phoenix Lights? And, half the room's hands went up, and I was like, wow, okay. And then we all went later, and I said, okay, all you guys, we're going to go sit and talk. And I had everybody sort of describe where they were and what time. And
you want me to tell you something funny? A little side note?
What's that?
I was there.
Oh, really?
Now, check this out. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
The night that it happened, which was a Thursday night, I was with a band, forget about it, a record release party. And at that record release party at the Hard Rock Hotel, we're outside drinking, having our good time. And everybody was there. Alice Cooper was there. Rob Halford was there. Stevie Nicks, right? Okay. And so we're all there. We're having a good time. I didn't see it. And the next night, Friday night, I get home to my condo in Sherman Oaks, and I walk in, drop my bags, and I turn on the TV. Last night in Phoenix. And I was like, what? And I'm looking, and they're showing the videos. Right? What do you mean last night in Phoenix? What? And so everybody that was there, we all could have seen it. Nobody did.
Wow.
We were outside at the Hard Rock, if anybody knows where that is in Phoenix, off of it's like Scotts, off of anyway, at a mall in Scottsdale, North Phoenix. We were there. And that night, that event, that cool thing, dude, it was going on above us, and none of us saw it.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, no matter what Alice Cooper wants to say, or Stevie Nicks, or Halford, or anybody else that was there, nobody was looking up. We were looking down, and we all missed it.
Sure.
I'm so bummed. bummed.
That's why after that, you got to keep looking. Every time I go outside, I take a little look.
Well, I do that now, too. Yeah. And do you find that you had mentioned night vision. Now that you know what you know with Stephen Greer's experiences and everything else that you've had since then, when you go outside, that crap is going on right now in the skies above us.
Yeah.
It's not limited to a city or the country or Joshua Tree or the Louisiana Bayou. It's going on everywhere in our skies.
Yeah. It's just hard to see because of all the light pollution and other stuff that's going on up there. We get, it takes a Joshua Tree type desert, clear sky, high elevation that you can really just wow, you can really see the Milky Way just go across the sky.
Do you think when you... because I'm a little bit confused on how I'm trying to process what I have seen. Do you think it's us or them? Do you think it's us with their technology? Do you think it's them and we're not intercepting this stuff with planes and missiles and stuff that because we can't? What do you think it is that we're seeing?
I think it's all of the above. But
interesting.
Mostly it's us from the future.
So I have played there, Langdon.
I have this whole, so my work, I've gone deep into the peanut butter, as Jerry would say, DPB.
Right.
And I have started, so after the hearings, we continued to do this ET Media Group meetup at my old studio in the Marina Del Rey. And we had several people from the industry, from the film industry, come over, and we did this once a month, every Tuesday, and we had different guests. We had Dolan on one month, and several different guests come in. And even Senator Gravel, one time he was in town, we're like, hey, can come and be like the guest at our meetup group. And it got really big at times. We'd have 50, 60, 70 people there. And we had, I remember this woman, Wendy Kennedy, who is a ET channeler for the Palladians. And
I know who she is. Yeah.
She was there. And we got to talking about abductions, and I didn't know who she was. I was, you're Wendy, okay. And I didn't know she was Wendy the channeler. And she said, yeah, I'm an experiencer, and I've had some abduction stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, what do you think all this is? And there's so many people. And I had started talking and interviewing different abductees and experiencers. And she said, it's a soul contract. And that sort of hit me really hard. That's all she said. It wasn't like soul. I just was like, soul contract. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And
wow.
And she left, and then I just kept thinking about that over and over and over, and it left this a deep impression. It's like I want to know more. What's a soul contract? So I ended up I ended up checking out some of her stuff, and then I saw, I'm like, oh wow, she's channeling these Palladian beings. Oh, they're saying all this stuff, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. And then I checked out some of Daryl. So Daryl used to come to the event too. I didn't really know who Daryl was. I didn't know he channeled this being Bashar. And I was sort of like,
he's talking about Daryl Anka.
Daryl Anka, yeah, sorry. And I had no idea because he was an industry guy into ETs. He was, a CGI. He worked
and
an
actor, good actor,
and he used to work at. Well, I don't know if he acted that much, but I know he. Well, it depends. Some people may think he's acting in this channeling stuff.
Exactly.
But I know he did CGI work for some 20th Century Fox films, and he was like into CGI art, a CGI artist, doing art with computer graphics. And so later I'm finding, I see him on a YouTube clip. I'm like, what? That's not the usual guy, Oh, wait, it's him, but he's speaking with this weird accent. What's going on there?
Bashar.
And so then I'm listening to this material over, and I'm like, man, that seems to make a lot of sense. And it sort of connects with all of the ufology that I had sort of researched.
Was this when he was giving his, we need to hit a break right here,
right.
His explanation, Bashar's time travel, his take on time travel? Did you see that?
Oh, I've heard the explanation. I don't know if
it's
it was
pretty
that
incredible.
Yeah,
actually, it's an eye opener. Let's take a break, and when we come back, first off, we're going to open up the phone lines. We've got to take some phone calls.
Okay, awesome.
So we'll do that 323-825-5045. But I'm not going to let Reuben go. He said time travelers from the future. We're going to stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'll be right back.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Fate or not, things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction. Chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative, author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon, live right here in the bunker. Tomorrow night, Tom DeLonge is going to be here. Wednesday night, Linda Moulton Howe. Thursday night, David Icke, Pure UFO Week 2. Now, Reuben, when somebody brings up time travel, the audience lights up, I light up, we're all there. And this idea that possibly what we are witnessing in the skies, in our rooms, contact and so forth, could be ourselves from the future. Mm-hmm. Now, you have just mentioned this, and this is one of your ideas. Where did this come to you, and what kind of research and so forth? What have you found out? What do you think?
Well, as I was saying, I sort of, I started listening to Wendy. I started listening to Bashar and Daryl's Bashar, and they all talked about this idea, and this is not just them. This is sort of goes into some Eastern philosophies and different ideas that time is an illusion, that the way we experience time is sort of the stretched out experiential version of it, but in reality, all things are happening at the same time. And I know that's a hard concept for us to sort of wrap our heads around. But when you go into the quantum state, for example, there's this quantum state of infinite potentials, and I started researching a lot of quantum physics because I was getting sort of these messages from that community, and then they referenced quantum physics all the time. And I was like, okay, well, what is this they're really talking about? So in this sort of wave format of the electron acting as a wave and a particle both at the same time, and it depends on how you observe it.
Mm-hmm.
Does the the quantum superposition, it collapses into an actual matter, the double slit experiment, we've seen that 100 times.
Right.
So sort of using that as a basis, and then listening to these channelers, and then I actually started my own series where I went and started interviewing these channelers all over the place, and they're all saying the same things. They're all saying the basis, the time is an illusion, and everything is happening here now, right now. It's just the way we perceive it. And then they talked about fractals and fractalized consciousness, and then I started sort of doing medicine journeys with ayahuasca and some other sacred plant medicines. And I would go deep into these altered states of consciousness myself and sort of see time and experience.
Maybe a fractal or two.
Several fractals.
Right.
And Fibonacci sequences and, sacred geometry and all the things that come along with that. But then I actually started to experience things in a nonlinear sense, which we do in our dreams every night. We're sort of, we call it dream time, but there's a whole other dimensional reality beyond the veil that we all have access to. And I think we've all slipped into that reality. We slip into it in our dreams for sure, but with the aid of these medicines, and I think and fortune tellers do this, and psychic intuitives do this all the time, and all the woo-woo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually experience that, and these plant medicines have helped me get to that state. I've sort of digested and sort of meditated on, and without medicines as well. And I have got this idea that all of these ETs are potential timelines of us, of humanity's sort of separating into the different timelines, and they're all possibilities. They're all infinite possibilities of possibilities in the sky. And in a linear sense, when we see these stars, I actually believe we're seeing us in the future. And depending on which star system, it's like a branch, like a leaf. And I look at nature to sort of figure out what reality is. And you can see the fractals in a tree or in
and you see the spirals in universes, right?
The Fibonacci, and even if you count the math with a tree and with our own
right.
hand and arm, the Fibonacci sequences, it's everywhere. And that math it's God. It is nature. We are all beings interconnected with this fractalized math consciousness. I use the word consciousness because it all is consciousness, but it seems to be all connected in some sort of orderly way. And I believe that time, we perceive it as this linear thing, but if you go on a different timeline, then yes, Darrow Anka actually is Bashar. Bashar is Darrow Anka on a different timeline in the future.
Well, the only reason why it's even linear for us is these.
Right. We have to measure it in some way, but then, a great example, if anybody wants to know more about.
I don't know if you can see around the studio here, but I have watches everywhere. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm a big watch guy, right?
Yeah.
And I realize, so I'll just put these watches down here.
There's some pretty big watches.
is this, without this invention of a timekeeper, like, a watch and a clock, without this, then time becomes just relative to the individual.
Exactly.
My idea of a minute that has gone by is not the same for you. And it can't be, right? Or a dog or a butterfly or whatever. But once you go out into space, and now time can't necessarily be linear because, and especially if you don't have a watch, what is up, down, left, right, and how is time different? If I'm going to go in this direction, then what's the past?
Right.
And if I go this way, then wait a minute, the past would have been here.
There's
if
no
I
reference point.
Right. There's no way to do that.
Right.
So it could be all at the same time, always. Right. And that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and you were just talking about this star, 99 light years or whatever, and it has this planet that rotates around how many days?
40
days, right? So just imagine if we were to somehow be transported to that planet, how would we monitor our days? How do we know what is? Everything would be switched now to this new day system. Our time would now not exist as it does now.
No.
Because it's relative to, and Einstein's theory proves this, that everything is relative to where you're at and you're rotating around the star. So all of a sudden we're living life in a different way, but
in a 40-day cycle.
40-day cycle. Yeah.
Because let's not forget, the sun comes up every 24 hours here, and our body, everything, nature is revolving around that. Plants grow, and the seasons change, and everything. We are, and a lot of things that mess with man today is that evolution. Now it depends on who and what and where, but the bottom line is this. Man, up until just recently, died 5 miles away from where he was born. Okay? All right?
Yeah.
That's just the way we have evolved, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So now, today, our body, after all of these hundreds of thousands of years, has acclimated itself to a certain way.
Yeah.
And now we get on a plane and fly to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going there in 2 weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
And now, forget about jet lag. Your body's like, dude, F you.
Yeah.
Right? This is not what I am expecting. Your cells, your soul, everything, right?
Right.
Now, if we just took off and went to another planet and lived on a 40-day cycle of the year, can you imagine the sun coming up like that? I don't know what the math is, but every 2 hours?
We would need some major sleeping pills.
right? And it would just collapse down. So time needs to be a universal thing.
Right.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, I sort of understanding that idea, when time is an illusion in that sense, of course you can bend and do things with time, especially with these advanced technologies, or even as our shamanic ancestors did in dream time, and in these medicine journeys. They would literally switch and go from past to present and jump around in timelines. So this is not my story, another friend's story. He did an ayahuasca journey in Peru, and his first journey, and he was in this hut, and he had to get up to go to the bathroom, and he sort of fell over, and he had this being in the middle of the room that he was sort of sensing and feeling. He couldn't tell what it was. He felt it was like this dark being, but he kept staring at it. He just kept staring and staring and staring. He didn't know what it was, and it sort of scared him a little bit, but he finally snapped out of it and he was able to leave. And then 9 months later, he's back in Peru. He's doing another medicine journey, and he's thinking about his first experience. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go back. I want to go to that hut and see if I can actually have an out-of-body experience." Because he did that in a dream once or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, I want to have an out-of-body experience. I want to go to the hut and go see my shaman that I first sat with in the medicine and see what he's doing." And he did. He said he went out of his body, went over. It was a few miles down the street or whatever, and he saw, because he knew that his shaman would be doing a medicine journey at that same exact time. He's like, "Okay, let's see." And then he started seeing people in the room, and he could see different people, friends that he knew. He's like, "Oh, that I know that these two, this couple, I know them. I had no idea they were in Peru at this time. They're gonna be so stoked." And he's in his mind, he's like, "They're gonna be so stoked tomorrow. I'm gonna go over there and say, 'Hey, I saw you in the journey.'" And then he saw other friends, and then he started realizing, "Whoa, wait a minute! I can't believe all these people are in Peru right now, sitting with my old shaman." And then he turns, and then he sees himself, And he literally made the connection that he was seeing himself from 9 months earlier, connecting those timelines in a sense that, I don't know if you're catching what I'm saying, but his first journey, he couldn't make out his full self traveling in that consciousness, but now he saw himself in that first journey, and then he connected the dots. Anyways, it goes to show you how bendable time is, and our seers and these other people who can sort of see into the past and into the future. And I believe in multiple parallel universes, as our scientists are proving now with, quantum theory, and there is this infinite number of timelines and potentials that are happening all at once. And all we have to
ayahuasca is certainly. I wish science would prove this once and for all, but ayahuasca is certainly presenting the case that these multiple timelines and parallel situations are true and do exist.
Experientially. We don't have the science or the terminology, I think, to explain that.
But it allows you to see the other side.
Absolutely.
Or another timeline or another parallel world.
Other beings, other consciousnesses. There's so much out there, and it really is, there's so much going on behind the veil, so to say.
Have you, in my research into ayahuasca and DMT, now I haven't done it. Okay, I haven't done it yet. Is this? I have read thousands of maybe around 1,000 different writings of people that have gone through these experiences, and I have found that, I don't know if the number is 100%, but it's got to be close, that they have nearly the exact same experience and see the same things and talk to the same spirits, and the she's and the he's are all consistent, and the visions and the geometry and the walking in the path and so forth, that are nearly identical, that they are seeing the exact same world. It's not like acid or pot or other things where you're just off tripping and you're just dreaming and you're doing your thing. Where I think that ayahuasca is exposing another dimension that is truly there. Do you find that have you, with your, I don't care how many times you have gone and visited ayahuasca, but is it the same world that you go to every single time?
No, each experience is very unique and different, but it is the same spirit. The ayahuasca grandmother, Pachamama, is there's a spirit behind that medicine, behind that shamanic experience that the shamans tap into, and sort of they call it medicine. And when you drink the medicine, you're calling on those spirits. You're calling, and it's not just the drinking of the medicine; it's a whole shamanic circle ceremony that goes into invoking and calling the spirit of ayahuasca into and to help heal. And that's sort of why people do this, is to go and heal old wounds and things that they just can't get past. And grandmother spirit, and that's what they call her, does come in. And I've had miraculous sessions and healing sessions with that spirit, and we all refer to her as a she, because that's what you experience when you go there. Now, visually, my experience may be different than the other guy, but feeling wise, you definitely feel that consciousness, grandmother, come in and show you things and show you exactly what you need to heal, to get you through whatever is stopping you in your life, or injuries. I know a woman who has grown teeth back from her
excuse me?
From her work. Miraculous healings have happened with this medicine, and I'm actually doing a documentary about it right now. And there's, I've had such emotional healing from it myself. So it's not for everybody, but it definitely, like going back to the time travel thing, it definitely has allowed me to understand this concept of time and nonlinear consciousness in a way that I think my normal, in this realm, mind couldn't quite wrap its mind around. But when for me in that state, I could definitely have an appreciation for this whole time travel theory that, all of these beings are literally connected to us. They are us.
Why aren't they talking to us?
I think they are. We're just not listening. We don't speak the language.
How so?
When you down some ayahuasca, you start speaking that language.
Right.
It's they are, in the sense of like the channelers, they're able to sort of tune themselves like a radio station, reach a certain frequency. So I think we speak the language, and we can. All of us have the potential to do this. It's just we have to tune ourselves to the right channel. And because of evolution and because of where we are in the future, we're so highly evolved. It's like us trying to talk to our dogs.
Sure.
Or to our cats that are sort of a little bit lower on the evolutionary scale.
Right. Easy enough.
And then we have to sort of tune, and you have intuitive people who can connect to animals and talk their talk. Same with the other end, going to these higher vibrations, these higher evolutionary scales, is we have to sort of tune ourselves to the right channel, and then we can have those conversations.
When I had that experience out of Contact, and this thing takes off, it lasted for about 5 minutes, and I watch it go, blazing speed, go up to the outside of the atmosphere, freeze frame, stop. Now it's just a pinprick, it's very tiny. Stop, and then take a left-hand turn and split. Why didn't, if it was somebody from the future, or because I fully believe that it was a show. It was a show for us. There's no question about what was going on there.
Right.
But why not make a U-turn? Why not come back? Why not fly? Why not cruise? Why not come by? Somebody wave out the window. Maybe, drop a flyer off.
Right.
Something.
Right.
But why not that instead of, just leaving? It just split. And in the end, I was a little, how I want to say, I was on the brink of going crazy. It was profound.
Right.
It was something that I wasn't supposed to see. We weren't, it's not supposed to exist. Right. But it split. It left us, man. So why not make that turn and cruise over? Why did it leave? What's the message? I mean, it was there to say hello.
Right.
Why not complete it?
I think that is the message. I think the message is they're here to say hello, and anything beyond that at this point would interfere in our evolutionary process.
That sucks.
I know it sucks. I know, but we, that's so my whole research into this, and again going into these other states. If you can't. You can give somebody a fish, or you can teach them how to fish.
Right.
And I think, in a way, we're sort of indirectly being taught how to fish for ourselves, to get ourselves out of our own messes and everything else, because that is us from the future, and they know that I think they've made this mistake in the past, and we can see some indigenous cultures and building monuments around them and whatnot in the ancient alien theory.
Like Göbekli Tepe.
Like Göbekli Tepe, exactly. And we're going to find out more about this Göbekli Tepe as we uncover more and it unfolds. But I think that we did come down and we made mistakes. The future versions of us did come down and say, "Hey guys, you got it all wrong. You're cutting off people's heads and doing things, and you really shouldn't be doing that." And then they start, worshiping and doing the whole thing.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh shit, we shouldn't have done that."
Right.
It's
beep.
Oh, was there a beep in there?
Yeah,
sorry.
I got it.
Okay.
Covered.
Perfect. So that is, I think one of the main reasons is we have to, until we collectively, and individually people are doing a lot of work, but collectively, until we can get to that place where we're not going to worship or give away our power, or say, oh, the aliens are going to save us, or whatever it is, that they're just holding off. They're like, okay, we can give them little hints to say, hey, we're here, but we're not going to go any further, because the future versions of us are a lot smarter than we are right now.
With 29 Palms, I keep going back to CITD because it's something that I saw, so I can base everything on fact, right? Mm-hmm. But one curious thing about CITD that is almost unique in the world is, it's Joshua Tree, and there's unique stuff going out there, and I saw it. But, 15, 19 miles away is a frigging Marine Corps air station.
Right.
Why aren't they showing some concern?
And maybe they were about to launch their jets, and maybe the ETs could sense that, and they're like, "Oh, we got to go before those, they scramble their fighters or something, something like that."
Well, okay. I was thinking more like they were tired of doing that. I'm talking about the Marines.
Oh, the Marines, right. Oh, and that too. That I saw a weird thing which could have been some kind of experimental. A Marine craft or something out in Joshua Tree. It was really weird, this triangle thing, and it was flashing and weird.
Speak into the mic.
Anyway, it's this triangle thing that was sort of
Reuben is just tripping out right now, and he forgot that there's a microphone.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry about that. I think that in that with the night vision, I thought that the way it was flying and everything else, I didn't feel like a UFO. It wasn't that like, oh my God, this is a UFO experience.
Right,
it was
right.
Like, I think that's some kind of weird experimental.
That's ours.
One of ours. Yeah. It was weird how you just kind of get that.
I'll tell you something else, man. It always comes back to Joshua Tree. There's something going on out in Joshua Tree. This is a few years ago. Steve Murillo here in town ran MUFON Forever.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you know Steve. And he lives in Marina Del Rey too. Mm-hmm. So we're out in Joshua Tree. This is like three years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And we're out on our back patio. We've rented a cabin out in 29 Palms, right? We are in the desert, right? And the mountains are our backyard. There's no life out there. We're standing out there, and there's about 10 of us, or so. And right there, I'm not going to surprise you at all, but it was just like, somebody said, wouldn't it be cool if something happened? And I'm no sooner were those words spoken where somebody goes, whoa, whoa, and look at that. And I turn and I look, and this, I don't know how big, but this white orb shot up from the desert floor straight up and disappeared into the stars.
Wow.
And it took like 2 seconds.
Wow.
Not 5. Dude, it's just like
giving another turn to shooting star.
And we're all staring at it, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. No sparks, no flames, no smoke, no this, no fireworks, and there's nothing
no
human,
sound.
nothing terrestrial. No.
Yeah.
And it was about, I'm going to say, a quarter mile away out in the desert floor, and it was a white ball. So I don't know how big it was, around 10 feet maybe. I don't know. But just off into the sky. And the funny thing about that whole thing was 2 minutes later, we were back in the conversation.
Right,
we were doing our thing.
Right.
It was like, whatever.
Yeah. What are them UFOs?
It's Joshua Tree. And so if that's going on, which is back to my point. Now, this was in 29 Palms.
Right.
A mile away is the entrance to the Marine base.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they had to have seen what we just saw.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's right there. And maybe there's a connection to the Marine base. Maybe that's why they built that base there.
Quite possibly.
I don't know. But there was something going on in Joshua Tree. That is a very, very special place. So we're up against a break, and I when we come back, this is where we're going to go next. If it's from the future, the issues that I have is what about Bob Lazar? What about the research that Jeremy's been doing?
Yeah.
What about all of that? It can't be both the same. I don't know if there is that kind of leeway there. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Right. This is Faded Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. Merrill's Jimmy Church. We'll be right back.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will. Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com. mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. I don't have to ask for overtime tonight. It's a given. Our guest tonight is Reuben Langdon. Tomorrow night, Tom DeLong is going to be here. And Wednesday night, Linda Moulton Howe. Thursday night, David Icke. A full week number 2 of pure UFO coverage here on Fade to Black. And I guess I forgot to do the first-time guest disclaimer tonight with you. And you know what? I can't do it now.
Okay.
Because it's now after the fact.
I see.
But hopefully we are going to depart ways from the bunker tonight as friends. But I don't know why I spaced that. I've only done that once in 500 shows.
Wow.
I've never forgot the first-time guest disclaimer.
Is that an honor then?
Well,
or I don't know. Is that bad or good?
But I don't have a second-time guest disclaimer, so I don't know. Man, I'm feeling kind of funky here about the whole thing. And man, but you're going to get a T-shirt.
Oh,
you know, that's
okay.
for sure. Now, what I was alluding to, Reuben, was before the break, is that everybody can't be right. I know what I have seen. I've photographed a black triangle, and I can show that when you respond to this. I actually have the picture right here. I'll show it to you. I took a picture of it. So, but we have Bob Lazar.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mark McCandlish with his alien reproduction vehicle stuff. I have, he has graciously sent me those blueprints and all of the ET contact and the presence of grays and so forth. But if they are from the future, then does that make like this Palladian thing or Zeta Reticuli or Bob Lazar or Betty and Barney Hill and this evidence of an off-world existence coming here to visit us, does that make that all wrong? I don't understand how. Or is it that we are visited from time to time from the future? Because I do believe that time travel is real. Mm-hmm. I mean, Einstein has certainly proved that.
Right.
So what's the deal? Where do we go with this? Do we go with Jeremy and and Bob Lazar and George Knapp and Area 51 and backwards engineering stuff,
right?
Or not. I mean, like I said, everybody can't be right, or can they?
Well, I have a theory that they actually can be right, and it's sort of because of I do this presentation at anime conventions, and I sort of explain what is reality, and I use a lot of science. I don't go into the UFO thing too much, but if anybody does any research on quantum computing, now we know now that through just the fact that these things are actually online and sort of doing stuff. Now they're not doing a lot of things that are practical for us right now, but the development of them is showing that we can compute things in a quantum state, which means, it's not just a 1 or a 0, it's 1 and a 0, it's both. And then we can sort of, they branch off in these qubits, and they're doing multiple 1s and 0s, and there's this whole sort of other dimension where anything is possible. And depending on, again, going back to the double slit experiment, depending on how we observe it, then we sort of make that infinite possibility a potential possibility, a now real possibility into the now moment. So the future doesn't exist, the past doesn't exist. It exists in our mind as a thought. But so does the future. The only thing that is real is right now. So as we're sort of shifting from now moment to now moment, we're changing billions of times per second. And we are moving into a direction where individually it may be different from the other person.
Okay, you want to see my black triangle UFO shot?
Yes, please.
Okay, come over here. Okay. Take off your headphones so you don't... Okay, just come over here. I'm going to move the microphone. Okay, it's right there. Okay, now I'm just going to... I've never done it like this without a magnifying glass, but there it is.
Oh, smokes, that's it.
Is that the trippiest thing ever?
Wow.
Look at that.
That is dope.
Hold on, let's see. See, I'm showing him. He's zooming in, but it's... Is that the craziest?
That's pretty dope.
I'm going to guess, and you can see. Now, I'm showing, this is a photograph. This was on a 35 millimeter camera. This is a negative. This was shot in 1996 before digital cameras.
Right.
And you can see with the clouds and the way that this is shot, I'm going to guess that that's, 40,000 feet, 50,000 feet.
Pretty high up there.
And when you zoom in on it, like you just did, and you look at it and you see it up there, and it's it's like a black pyramid. Is that the trippiest thing ever? That's a real photograph.
I've heard them described. I've never seen a photograph of one like that. Well, other than, on the internet, but knowing somebody who took the picture.
I'm holding, this is the original. Look how old this thing is. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Kodak paper,
right?
It's got the Olympic logo on it. That's how old this is.
96,
when were the
96
yeah,
Atlanta,
exactly. Right? Okay, so that's how old this is. And now, let me tell you how, and you can see it right here. And when this thing came across the sky, this was taken up in Monterey, California, and I was out on the beach with some friends, and as I'm taking these pictures, there was 4 of us, so it was 3 people out in the water, and then we would trade and then go out, and somebody else would take pictures of us, right? So now it's my turn to take the pictures of the group, and one of them, as I'm taking, he looks up and goes, "Dude, what is that?" And as I grabbed that picture there, this thing had moved from here to here in, a 1/10 of a second.
Oh, wow.
Like 20 miles, like some crazy amount of speed. And I was like, what the heck?
And it stopped there?
No.
It just kept going.
Hold on.
All right.
This was taken by chance. I merely pointed the camera in the general direction and pulled the trigger. And as I pulled the camera down and looked, it went to the other side of the cloud right here and stopped. And as it stops there, now we're all kind of looking at it. It just went, pew, gone, up into the cloud, gone, in a nanosecond.
Wow.
And we're all kind of tripping. We talked about it for a minute, and that's it. We continued taking our pictures. And like 6 months later, I had a bunch of film. and like, I don't know, 20 rolls of film. And I went, okay. So I grabbed everything out of my drawer just to empty the drawer out, and I'll go up to the, save on drugs and drop off all the film. And I go back and I pick everything up an hour later, 2 hours later. Now I've got a stack of pictures. And I'm back at my house going, okay, that's a keeper. That's not a keeper. That's a keeper. That's not a keeper. That's not a keeper. A picture of a cloud. Why would I take a picture of a cloud?
Right.
And I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That was that thing. Right. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's not there. Oh, it is there.
Nice.
So I go and I grab my jeweler's loop and I look at it. And now I couldn't see that it was a black triangle back then. It was just a dot in the sky. And I go and I put my jeweler's loop out. I'm like, holy crap, I photographed like a pyramid, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, and my landlord comes over. At that moment, my heart's pounding, and his name is Victor, and he knocks on the door. He's got to replace the air conditioning filters. And he comes and I go, stop, Victor. What do you see? Hand him my jeweler's loop, and I hand him this, and he puts it down on the thing. What is this? Jimmy, what is this? What the hell is this? And I see him, he's looking, what is this? I don't understand. What is this? I said, dude, I don't know, man. I took the picture. I and there it is. Is that the craziest thing?
That's awesome. That's cool.
So there you go. So now when I see that, This is what's crazy for me, and I've never published this. I've shown it to friends and stuff.
Right.
But I don't know. I only know what I saw it do.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it in the picture and you look at it and you see that it's a black pyramid, triangle. But the thing is, in the direction that it was moving in here, it's the flat side going forward, so and there's no wings. It's not a B-2. It's not a stealth fighter. It's a black bleeping pyramid at 50,000 feet. That's what it is. When I look at this now, I don't know. Is it us with their technology? Is it them visiting us?
Right. So, and to explain my theory, so I think all these different civilizations, the Zeta Reticuli, the Pleiades, and all of, the Sasani, or,
now it's Proxima Centauri is apparently where it's happening, right?
Well, yeah, all of these places are potential, again, this is my own sort of theory I got on my download, are potential timelines where we're looking out in the stars and we see this in a linear sense, but those are the infinite, all the stars in the sky are infinite potential timelines where our evolution will carry us in one direction or the other. And we then, that future version of us, and that, in a linear sense, we see it as being, in the Pleiades star system or whatever, but in a non-linear sort of compressed time, that is how we evolve to that version.
Right.
And that is us. So yeah, we may look different. We have different, life evolved in a different way, and they have different heads and different life.
Have you watched Damon T. Barry's videos, his films?
No.
Okay, you should check out Damon's stuff because the series is called The Forever Time. Damon T. Barry, Berry. That's what he says. That's what he says. And he says that all of the ancient writings and cave paintings and sculpture and so forth, if we look at it, it's constantly pointing towards the stars, and we need to go and look to there instead of to us. And that it's a future version of ourselves. They were here. That's where they are now.
Right.
And we will eventually make the connection, but they're trying to tell us where to look.
Exactly. Yeah. And the reason why it's so very, and we're like, well, which one is it? But these are all the different versions of evolutionary paths we can take.
Right.
And we have different versions of us coming back.
Right.
And interacting with the now version of us and sort of telling us, giving us nuggets of information, or even taking our DNA, because that on that timeline and that future version of us, we've cloned ourselves so many times that we can't even clone ourselves anymore, and we actually need to go
fix.
We need a fix, so we come back to this timeline and we grab some DNA from that version of us that matches with that version of us in the future, and then we can then continue our species. And
so then, what did Lazar see out at S4?
Well, he said he saw, or he claims he was at least told that it was from the Zeta Reticuli.
Mm-hmm.
So and we associate the Zeta Reticuli with these gray beings, that the grays, that came down, and so many people have had these encounters with the grays doing the abductions and the hybridization programs that we've heard. So that is a version of us in the timelines that I was just saying, that we sort of had this, we couldn't reproduce ourselves anymore. We cloned ourselves. We genetically engineered emotions, and this is sort of Bashar's story, that he says we've genetically engineered emotions out of our beingness because it caused great wars and all this nasty stuff on our planet. We destroyed our planet, had to go underground. And then through millions of years of evolution, our eyes get bigger, and we're, now we're in the caves, and we're, our bodies shrink because now we're not needing food as much. And
we look like Gollum.
We look like Golems, yeah, basically. And then we developed advanced technology. We're able to go interstellar and time travel. As soon as you have master gravity, you can then start to master this whole. You can create your own space time, because gravity is intertwined with time. Then you can start going back and forward and wherever. It doesn't matter. It's no longer in the linear sense as we perceive it. It's there is here. It doesn't matter. We just have to go into that space-time coordinates, which basically is vibrational frequencies.
So how do you think, if that is, and I think it's a great idea and it's a great theory, and all of our ideas need to be pushed to the center of the table, and we need to look at all sides.
Yeah.
But if that is indeed the case, so Lazar would have seen and backwards engineered a craft that was actually from us.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't that...
like a million years from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that interfere with and create some kind of paradox or interrupt, our timeline here and destroy everything that would be around us?
Because every time, let's say you and I wanted to go back in time and visit our old selves.
Right.
Unless, like I gave you my friend where he actually saw himself, and then 9 months later he saw himself seeing himself. That was a clear version of him in that timeline. If we were to go back right now to visit ourselves, and let's say we have no memory, conscious memory, we didn't interact with ourselves up until now. We go back. We're actually creating a new timeline.
Right.
So there is no sort of space-time paradox. It's just simply a new timeline is created where
paradoxes are not possible.
In essence, yeah. I don't think, in my understanding of all of that, I don't think we can sort of collapse space-time. I think we would just simply create a new timeline, a new branch in the chain, so to say, and it would just go.
Well, okay, so let me ask you, let me give you an example. Let me tell me if this works. So you want to be the baddest jiu-jitsu dude ever, right? So you go back in time to your little self.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the big version of you because you're just traveling back in time. Right? And you instruct your little self the Jeremy Corbell badass school of jiu-jitsu,
yes,
right?
Quantum jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Perfect title for
this. Right. And you teach your little self that. Right? Is that possible? So then... Sure. So you wouldn't create a paradox. No. You wouldn't collapse this world.
No.
You could then leave and your little self, but you would not experience your other self with the glorious jiu-jitsu moves.
At that young age.
Because that's not you.
Exactly.
So you don't get to enjoy it, but you get to pass on the knowledge.
Exactly.
Wow.
And
that's too heavy.
That's
I
another version of me. Yeah.
I couldn't go back and teach myself Eddie Van Halen in 1970 as a 10-year-old guitar player and take over the world. I wouldn't get to enjoy it. I could only teach myself that in that timeline.
Right.
How do you?
That's how I.
You're
would perceive
bumming
it.
me out.
I know.
So
Yeah,
if I do
I'm
get
sorry.
a time machine, I don't get to go back and teach myself Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads licks.
Well,
right?
you can, but you would have to live vicariously through that other version.
I could only
of you.
witness
yeah,
it.
you could only witness it from this version of you.
Well, I suppose there's a certain satisfaction to that.
Right. Now, unless in this timeline we experience a future version of us, which we are, with these ET interactions,
right?
Coming into this timeline, and then we get. And then we reach that sort of branch point where we get to that time where we left time, and then we get to choose, and we're like, okay, do we go back and visit ourselves,
right,
or do we continue on, or whatever? But and then that's where we shift. But so scientists are sort of discovering that there's infinite timelines and potentials, and we're sort of constantly shifting from one timeline to the next. So in the quantum state, like, all things are possible. So we're depending on where we focus, depending on our choices and our actions, we're then now sort of shifting into a reality that already exists.
Would you,
as opposed to creating a new reality?
Would you change things in the past if you had that ability in yourself?
No, not from what I've learned. I would simply, we are who we are based on our experiences and based on everything. If we went back and shifted something, we might, I don't know if that's even possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And there's certainly a pretty solid theory in this respect that you can't change nature, right? You can't change time. So you would go back and say you would try, if you wanted to prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, that chance meeting at the theater, the first time that they meet, right?
Right.
No matter what you do, he's still going to end up at that theater, right? You can block the street, you can trip him, you could tie his shoelaces together,
right?
You could divert. No matter what, he's still going to end up at the theater and meet your grandmother.
Yeah, I've heard that sort of idea that even if you did shift things because of nature, maybe if you didn't meet your grandmother at that time in that theater, then time sort of self-corrects itself.
Right.
And I've heard stories of manipulation of timelines and things, speaking about time, are you familiar with the Mandela effect?
Of course, we talk about it every day.
Okay, sweet. So I think that's a perfect example of how our memories sort of we can go back, and this is part of the work I do with the medicines, is we're going back in time and healing wounds of our emotional, we're hanging on to a lot of emotional distress.
Right.
And you go back and you sort of, you surround, a loved one may have been abusive in the past, or, people, rape victims are doing this, people with PTSD, soldiers, and they're sort of going back to those traumatic events, and they're sort of seeing it from another perspective, surrounding it with love, and sort of saying, okay, this horrid thing happened, but I see now that event helped me grow in another way, and sort of shifting to a positive perspective on that event. What actually happens then in this conversation is you're actually shifting your current timeline because you're changing the past.
That's right.
And you're now seeing it from this new perspective, and you no longer have that. So then that past perspective shift is now healing the present, and and the cancer goes away, and these other things,
Right. And you could change everything in your environment if you so wished.
Essentially, it
would take a lot of trips.
It take a lot of trips.
A lot of
a lot of energy.
Right.
A lot of energy to do that.
Let me ask. Okay, so we're almost out of time. I cannot believe we're at the end of this show, and I can't wait to get you back as soon as possible.
Please.
Back to the Mandela effect. Let me ask you a couple of questions. The JFK assassination, in your memory, how many people were in the car in Dealey Plaza?
Right. There was 4.
No.
I know. But that was. I remember seeing the footage.
I know. Me
and
too.
He reached around and he did it.
Yeah, right.
And now we have this new. And then my biggest mind blow is C-3PO's leg was gold. I don't know where the silver leg came from.
What are you talking about?
C-3PO's leg. Do you know what color was it?
No, stop.
What color is C-3PO's leg?
Dude, I need to get sleep tonight.
No, what color is it?
Are you telling me it wasn't gold?
No, he's got now he has one gold leg and one silver leg.
No,
yeah.
No, stop.
Yeah,
Reuben.
it's there. You can't. Yeah.
What?
And life. What's the Forrest Gump line? Life is like a box of chocolates, right?
Yeah, of course.
No, life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
There's all.
Okay, wait a minute. Everybody's mad because I ignored. I shut the phone lines down. Everybody was calling in. I ignored it. I'm having a good time. It's my show. It's not your show. It's my show. Wait a minute. How many? Yeah, everybody's saying it's gold. Okay, I want to know
silver.
See,
he has a silver leg.
No.
And the new timeline we just entered into now, he has a silver leg.
He does not.
Yes, look up C-3PO.
Wait a minute.
We're in a new timeline now.
C-3PO.
Even in the old action figures, apparently it was gold. Silver.
Oh, here it is right here. Silver leg,
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
Yeah, look at him.
Okay, so everybody is talking about this right now. Shut up.
Yeah. I don't know why.
No.
Yeah. See?
No. Here it's gold.
I know. I don't know what's going on. It's the time we're still like half and half.
It's this. No,
that's a cosplay or something. I don't know if that's the official movie version. In the official movie version now, he had a silver leg.
Oh
look
my God!
Yeah. Since when, right?
Get
since
out
last
of
month.
here!
Since last month, our entire past has changed into a silver leg.
No. Wow.
There's still versions of them. It looks
Mandela effect. It's all over the web. I'm looking at it right here. It is all over the place. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, classic.
No.
Classic Mandela effect.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. You look at Twitter. Come here. Check out Twitter. Just stick your head around here. Look at the Twitter's just lit up, and it's just and it will continue. Don't anybody here in Twitter tell me that you knew about this. It was gold and silver depending on the timeline you experienced it in.
Exactly.
I remember both gold and silver. Recently noticed the silver too. Wow. Okay. I did not. Oh man.
I'm not gonna get sleep tonight.
That's brilliant. There's been a couple of things with the Mandela effect in my own personal life that I know for a fact, right? Because I've told a certain story a certain way for a long time. And I come to find out that timeline was off, and I was off about a year. It had to do with the Challenger disaster. And I mean, I don't know about what is really going on here. This whole thing about the JFK assassination or Mandela being in jail. Or somebody said today when they found out that Gene Wilder had died.
Right.
A bunch of people had said, no, I thought that he died years ago. Right.
Oh, wow.
And now I don't know what is going on here, but I don't know if it is evidence that we can't trust our own memory, right? That we can't trust it, because I'm serious. I would have sworn on a stack of Bibles in court that there were 4 people in the JFK car.
Yeah, me too.
Right? No question about it.
Right.
And now that I know that there's 6 and I've seen all of this evidence, it's like I don't know what to believe now or what to trust.
Right.
And just maybe, what you would swear on a stack of Bibles. I would have gone to Vegas and dropped $100,000 and bet that there was 4 people in the JFK car and lost that money, apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When I swore that it was a sure thing. Well, listen, Reuben, we gotta go. I can't believe it is the end of the show. Yeah, It is. It is seriously the end. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon, one of the best conversations I've had here in a long time, and it's always cool to have somebody here in the bunker with me, holding my hand. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark T. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Faded by Dale. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Reuben Langdon. Tomorrow night, Tom DeLong, right here, Secret Machines. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter, @JChurchRadio. Follow Reuben, @Reuben Langdon. Be safe. Go Beckley Teppy. Say goodnight, Reuben.
Good night. Thank you.